A concert by a pop group people gathered. Although the group has existed for 5 years, it is unknown to anyone. People were talking about how surprising it was that the agency still supported them. The staff listened to them and prayed silently that this time they would have some really amazing songs. The concert was about to start. The leader of the group said that they would give it their all, otherwise their group would be finished. This show may be their last, as the contract of the little-known idol group Climax is coming to an end. And this show is their last chance. Lead vocals Ryu, vocals A, dance B, speech CC. The song was started by the lead vocalist, Ryu, and then the rapper picked up the song. And his name was Jin. He was the main rapper. His vocals and speech were weak, but his behavior on stage was impressive. Next up is the lead vocalist Sam, whose strong points were his looks and vocals. There was also Nick. He was considered the most handsome in the group. He was the backing vocalist, and the last member of this group, and we will keep him a secret for now. The performance came to an end and people were more than satisfied. The band gained new fans. Now their names were being chanted. People were saying that they would be waiting for the boys. For the last year they had been putting their whole soul into their work. The secretive guy was thinking whether he should say goodbye to them. He shouldn't be upset about this because he died 6 months ago, but somehow remained alive. And he was reborn into someone else's body, the leader and main dancer, Charlie. He had a rather interesting life, a refined taste, a talent for cooking, and an entrepreneurial spirit. These skills allowed him to rise to the top from scratch. His name was Leo. He was a successful restaurant manager. All their dishes were a hit. Every person knows him by sight. It was a successful life where he could do good with his position. At least until this happened, Leo was looking at the photo of his mother. He was telling his dead mother that he was doing well, when suddenly his stepmother pushed him. That night, Leo was killed. His stepmother threw him off a huge building. There was no chance of survival. Leo was killed by his own stepmother and stepbrother, all because of his success. He worked so hard and everything turned out like this, but when he opened his eyes, he found himself in a strange place. The system said that he can be reborn in a new life. Idol Charlie, does he agree? Before he could answer, the dog jumped on him. It was a second chance at life. Leo could take revenge on his family if he chose to live his next life as an idol. He wanted to figure it out, but there was no time. The system turned on the timer. But the dog wouldn't calm down, and before he had time to read anything, time ran out. Leo tried to stall for time, but woke up in a completely different place and body. This really happened. Another face was already reflected in the mirror. He was reborn. Everything is real. Leo couldn't find even a single resemblance to his previous appearance. Suddenly he started to feel sick. Leo wondered what was wrong with him. It turned out that Charlie had taken a bunch of pills. He did not understand why all this happened to him. Why he was reborn into this particular body. He wanted his body, but at that moment the news showed Leo's funeral. The killer was not found. Leo was angry that they were not going to look into his death. And then they showed the stepmother and stepbrother, who were absolutely going crazy with grief. The very people who killed Leo, the hypocrites, got away with it, and this infuriated Leo. He decided to report it to the police right away. But the system said that he could not interfere in Leo's life until he succeeded. Leo objected and asked to return his past body, but the past body could not be returned. They told him to become an idol, but how? And if he didn't succeed, there would be no revenge. He was terribly angry that his business could go to these people. He was thinking about plans. Perhaps his brother was wrong when he said that time heals, judging by the way he was getting used to someone else's appearance. Charlie wanted to check the conditions. The system just started creating the conditions. What puzzled Charlie greatly was that he said that they would not be able to build a successful business this way. The system decided to show Charlie's past. He is the youngest son of the company owner. With the huge support of the Chinese company, he debuted as the main dancer of the group Climax. Charlie's debut was not as easy as it might seem. The director scolded Charlie for deciding to become a clown. Because of him, they will be complete idiots in the eyes of their partners. Leo watched the film carefully. The woman asked Charlie why he didn't try being an idol. The companies that were the real suck-ups never cared about the quality of the music of the bands they supported, and the jealousy of the other trainees for his background, not his talent, was the only one who actually wanted to get rid of the labels. There was Charlie himself. Leo began to feel sorry for Charlie, because he himself thought that it was easy for people like him to live. Charlie still hoped that the world would recognize him, but the accident robbed him of the ability to dance. Because of this, the doomed leader of the group, Climax, made a terrible choice. The terms were finally drawn up, and the old man decided to read them. First, during Charlie's mission, he cannot be involved in the investigation of Leo's murder. Second, you need to become a famous idol. Third, the time to complete the task is 6 months. The contract will be terminated if he fails to complete the task, and Charlie's remaining life will disappear. A tense Leo tried to calm down. This was nonsense, but he had no other choice. He already died once, but before the quest starts, you need to eat something. First food, then work, they say, because it is impossible to do anything when you are hungry. In his busy life, Leo had hearty food. Now he is in his element. Leo was incredibly happy to be cooking again. It makes him feel alive. Cooking made Leo truly happy, and his food was incredibly delicious. Just as he was about to enjoy his meal, the doorbell rang. The man was screaming at him to open the damn door right now. He knew Charlie was in there. He didn't do anything stupid. Leo got nervous. It seems the man is talking about pills. It was Charlie's manager. He rushed to his house and pounded on the door with all his might. Leo was scared because the manager was angry at Charlie, who decided to end his life. The system decided to help Leo a little. A hint for newbies. The manager and Charlie were arguing. The manager yelled, "Decided to eat again at night. Charlie really doesn't want to come back." Charlie rudely sent the manager away and said, "His parents are paying him. Stop making a circus." Leo was a little shocked. He didn't understand why Charlie was so rude and what he should do about it now. He tried to calm himself down and just try, but the manager kept yelling and scolding Charlie, which frightened Leo even more. He called the manager with a trembling voice. He opened the door. The manager asked if Charlie was sick. Leo replied that he was fine, and he apologized for making him worry, but the manager couldn't calm down. Leo was overly polite, which was uncharacteristic of Charlie. So Leo tried to be rude to the manager. But he was not doing well. The manager showed Charlie's farewell letter. Then he shouted, sent him this message, and then did not answer the calls. Charlie asked the manager to calm down and lied that he was just dead drunk. But the manager continued to swear, so Leo decided to distract him with some great food. It worked. The manager was wolfing down Charlie's dish. He asked if Charlie had really made it. Charlie replied that he had watched a couple of cooking videos, but the manager didn't understand why the dish was so tasty. There was nothing surprising about it, since Leo had 25 years of experience in cooking. Leo acted like him. The manager immediately noticed it and said that Charlie had changed a lot. The manager said he made sure Charlie was okay. Everyone was incredibly worried. Then the manager told Charlie not to give up on himself. He still had 6 months left. If they have truly reached a new level, they need to prove it to others. Charlie received 20 points for communicating with the manager. Charlie could exchange them for tips. He decided to take a little break. He could accumulate points to get advice. The system asked him to study, but Charlie was hungry. It was good that he had some bread left. The news continued to talk about Leo's death. Leo's stepmother donated to the development of the child welfare system, and he assured that he would continue the plans of the late Leo. The hypocrisy of his stepmother infuriated Charlie. What a joke. She just turned down the Foundation's building because it was right in the center of Seoul. Leo is confident that she will sell the building once the family stops watching her, and he wanted so badly to reveal his identity. But the system reminded him that he could not do this. Suddenly, Ryo wrote to Charlie. Then Leo decided that he should meet the band members. Needing to figure out why these guys couldn't achieve success, he decided to see what doomed idols looked like. He looked at the photos of idols and thought, they are all so beautiful, so why couldn't they become famous? Maybe it was just the wrong time. It's okay. There are old songs that will become popular later. Leo walked to the door thinking that Nick was really handsome. He decided to use his face for advertising. In a past life, he helped doomed restaurants. So, this experience may come in handy now with the doomed pop group. Leo was a little nervous before meeting the band members. He was interested. What they were, the door opened and Nick ran to the door. Something seemed to have changed in him. Leo wondered what the hell he had been doing for the last 3 months. Leo tried his best to hide his disappointment. He sat down and asked, "He's Nick, right? And this pigsty is their common room." Nick was a little confused and did not understand Charlie. Leo continued to swear. "What kind of snack bags are these? Is this what an idol's room should look like?" Nick got nervous and started cleaning quickly, and said that he would have cleaned up if he had known that Charlie would come. Charlie shouted, "Stop hiding trash!" Then he stood up and walked into the kitchen. There was a pile of unwashed dishes in the sink. Leo wondered how they could live in such filth. He opened the refrigerator door and began throwing out the trash that was there. Leo was beside himself with rage. Nick said with a trembling voice, "If we throw everything away now, there would be nothing to eat for lunch," but Leo yelled at Nick to carry the garbage bags. They finally cleaned up. Leo took away the trash that had been piling up here for a couple of months. But Nick had a stash, but he couldn't hide it from Charlie. He was caught red-handed. Charlie asked where Nick's conscience had gone. Nick stated that he had worked hard. There was an awkward silence, and Charlie admitted it was time for a snack. Nick was immediately pleased. At that moment, a very irritated Sam came out of the room and asked what the noise was. Nick happily showed Sam the clean room, but Nick's enthusiasm did not extend to Sam. Sam said, "Anyway, it won't last a week. What is Charlie up to?" Leo didn't like Sam's tone because Sam is younger than him, so why is he talking to him like that? Charlie said that from now on they had to keep this place clean. They couldn't prepare for their return in the dump. Sam wasn't very happy about this news, and Charlie asked when the others would arrive. Nick replied, they were performing on the radio station as guests. The delivery arrived, and Nick beamed. But now Charlie was watching him, and Charlie was determined to destroy Nick's fat cells. Charlie asked Nick how much he weighed now. Nick said 86, but Charlie thought Nick was lying. So he said he would be responsible for the food. They should be ready for their new performances. First, he decided to marinate the chicken breast to add flavor. But Nick complained that the meat was too dry and tasteless, Charlie shouted. That's why he wants to add some zest to simple dishes. When on a diet, it is better to boil than to fry. But you need to saddle them so that they do not start climbing the walls because of the disgusting food. But Charlie didn't use any oil. He browned the meat on both sides and covered it to keep the chicken juicy. Sam also noticed Charlie's strange behavior and asked what was wrong with him. He knows this is not a cooking show. Leo doesn't have the best relationship with this guy. The remaining members finally returned. Ryu asked where it was so clean. Someone came to clean. Seeing Charlie, Ryu got angry. Leo had no idea what had happened between them, so he became nervous. Just as Ryu was about to scream that Charlie wasn't answering his calls, Charlie put food in his mouth. Everything was already ready. Charlie had prepared a salad of juicy chicken breast. Charlie told Sam that there was room for him too, so he could sit with everyone else. Sam reluctantly sat down and the boys all began to eat Charlie's wonderful dish. Ryu asked if Charlie was sure that this was what he cooked. Charlie replied that they needed to be in good shape before they returned. This news cooled the atmosphere, but Charlie continued to say that they should go back. And this time we have to give it our all. Sam was pessimistic. He said that they only have 6 months. Ryu asked Sam to listen to their leader, but Sam became rude and reminded them that Charlie hadn't helped them at all. What can this rich boy even do? Jean got angry and shouted, Sam needs to stop talking to him like that. Sam reminded that Jean himself wanted to end it, because he wanted to run away. Jean got angry. The two started arguing, and Nick and Ryu remained silent. The atmosphere became more tense. The boys just couldn't calm down, and the others didn't even try to calm them down. Leo fell into despair. He realized that now he had to forget about returning. First, he needed to prevent the group from breaking up. He kept wondering why such handsome, talented guys eventually failed. Now he begins to understand why. Intransigence, distrust, laziness, lack of leadership. In other words, it was a complete mess. Leo asked himself to calm down. He just needed to do this. What he's good at is that first we need to try to reconcile them, so that they have time to talk about future plans. And then strike them with a common enemy. The name of this plan is, It's All My Fault. Charlie shouted that he was sorry. The guys went quiet. Then Sam said that he wanted to apologize. Let him continue. At first Charlie didn't understand, but Sam told him to convince him, and it seems the plan worked. Perhaps he managed to capture their attention through his unconventional behavior. Although at first it seemed that these children were not used to this kind of thing, they began to sincerely understand the apologies for his past behavior and the promises regarding their return. For Leo, settling minor disagreements between the children was a simple matter. Ryu said that the contract would be terminated upon their return anyway, so they had the right to do whatever they wanted. Charlie replied, yes, this time they will not follow the agency's orders. Now they will act according to their own plan. Ryu asked the other members for their opinions. They still have 6 months left, and none of them have received an offer from another agency yet. But then they remembered what Sam had shouted about Jean already receiving an offer. And everyone looked at him and Jin asked, if they administer justice themselves, then he can take up the production. He was glad to accept the offer, since he thought it would be fun. Then Jean asked Sam what his answer was. Sam turned away and said they thought he wouldn't agree. When everyone else wants it so much, Leo began to celebrate victory, or rather the first step. The boys gathered in a circle, like in the good old days. The boys waited for Charlie to shout out Climax, as the leader of the group. Charlie felt a little awkward, but he still decided to do what he was asked to do. Leo got points for reaching the goal, and Nick asked where they should start. Everyone knew where Nick should start. The guys dragged him for a run, but he didn't last long. Charlie asked Nick to get up, but Nick was only thinking about food, so Charlie decided to cheat. He said he would buy Nick some beef if he stood up right then, and it worked. In the evening, as Charlie promised, he prepared a dish with meat, a marble salad. Nick immediately started eating. Ryu joined them. Charlie asked where Sam was. Jean said irritably, Sam went to bed, no need to pay attention. Nick said he hoped Charlie would come here every day and cook for them. Charlie replied, of course that was his plan. He would live here from now on. Leo just wanted to keep an eye on Nick's weight. While everyone was chatting, Ryu was thinking, Charlie said he would never live here. It seems he really has changed. Charlie is back home. The first stage was a success. It's time to think about the next one. Charlie's phone rang. It was his mother calling. Leo became nervous because he didn't know how to act. And yet he picked up the phone. Charlie's mother was the deputy chairwoman, Anna. She asked why she couldn't get through to him. She was so worried. Charlie replied that he was busy preparing for his return. Leo listened to his mother's caring voice, and a warm feeling filled his body. He missed his mother. So he didn't understand how Charlie could leave his mother in such a state. Leo realized that he had begun to envy this child, and he realized that it was wrong. But now he understands why the system gave him only 6 months. He thought about what to do. And the system immediately suggested that Leo improve his skills. Charlie is really good at dancing. But now his body is controlled by a middle-aged man who has never danced in his life. So it looks terrible. Leo himself realized that something went wrong. He got furious and started screaming. Shouldn't the movements be on autopilot? The system showed Leo's level of dancing, C. An average person who knows a little about dancing. Leo was at the bottom. So he is Charlie only on the outside. But during the performance he is at the very bottom. Things were bad because Charlie was not only the leader of the group, he was also the lead dancer. He needs to dance a cover version, and if he can't, it will be a complete failure. The system offered him to use crystals to improve his characteristics. Leo reluctantly decided to try it anyway, since there was a discount on right now. As soon as he pressed the button, his level and stats increased. Now his dancing level is like that of an average person. There is nothing to be happy about. Since the points were spent, Leo demanded a quest to earn new ones. The system gave him an additional quest, then Leo was happy. The dog system asked Leo to read the conditions. You have to practice 1,000 times. Leo was unhappy. He hit the window and shouted. And where is the reward? Leo decided that the system was trying to fool him again. The dog said that he would receive the keen system. Leo decided to practice dancing anyway. He picked up the phone and wrote to the manager. The manager was surprised. Leo explained that he had had a long break, so he needed to prepare for his return. Then the manager suggested meeting the day after tomorrow, and Leo got serious about work. Leo took out a pile of food. The dog looked at him. Then Leo said that because of Nick, in the last few days he had been eating only grass. And in general, he needs to gain energy to train harder. Leo got out some toast, cheese, ham, and made himself some Monte Cristo toast. He finally ate and was incredibly happy with it, then returned to work. Leo decided to see what the Climax group was all about and watched their debut concert. The image of the guys was sad. To make everything so bad, you had to try hard. But then it gets worse, as if the company was deliberately making fun of the guys. Leo was very angry because their return is in October, so they need to keep in mind the autumn trends. He decided to look for all the trends, removed banal images and those that were too bright. The image of schoolchildren also went into the trash. You need to choose the most suitable one from what you saw. Leo worked until 3 o'clock in the morning. Finally, he decided that he had had enough and went to bed. In the morning, Leo packed his things and went to the guy's apartment. Opening the door, he heard music. It seemed like the guys were practicing. Leo approached Ryu and asked what was making so much noise. Jean happily shouted that he had finally raised his level to B. Charlie asked what they were doing. Ryu replied. In the morning, Jin told Nick that he couldn't wait for Charlie to come. Just dance. Isn't that the game Charlie bought them a long time ago? Jean and Nick suggested that Charlie play together, since Charlie is the main dancer. Leo got nervous. This was the dance game Charlie bought them, and he definitely couldn't do it. But if he refused, it would be quite strange. So he picked up the console and started dancing. And by some miracle, he was able to get level A. The guys started clapping for him. But it was an average difficulty level, so the guys offered him a difficult level. If your back hurts, it's not scary. It happens to everyone. Charlie gave in, realizing that he had no choice. And he was able to get B level, eventually, to realize his dancing level to the maximum. He will have to sell his soul to the devil. All this time, Leo has been practicing diligently. And this dog kept reminding him about the time limit. Leo tried his best. And finally, he completed 1,000 practices. Leo managed to increase his level. After 2 more days, Leo was able to raise his dancing level from E to B, but his back hurt. It seemed Leo had overdone it. Ryu knocked and asked if he could come in. Ryu sat down and asked how Charlie's back was. Was he okay? Leo was glad that Ryu was caring about him. Charlie replied, "He's fine. Everything's fine, really. There's no need to worry about him." Ryu said seriously, "Let him not overdo it. He won't be able to delay their return." Now Charlie realized that Ryu was worried about their return, not about his condition. Then Charlie became worried, and said that he knew that for him the question of their return was a matter of life and death. "It seems they are not in a relationship where everyone cares about each other," Ryu asked to help him with his things. That's the way Ryu is. While Charlie was doing weird stuff, Ryu was doing all the hard work. He was the calmest of all the guys. Leo felt comfortable around him. Leo wondered if his behavior was related to their previous relationship. Leo had a reward, the Keen system. He could see the skills of the guys. These skills correspond to the personalities of the participants. Earning points is incredibly difficult, but they will make spending them easier, Leo said. Ryu said, knowing how moody Charlie is. He hopes Charlie lasts longer than he thinks. Everything looks so rosy now. But everyone has their own character. Charlie said he understood and thanked him. Ryu became embarrassed and asked what had gotten into Charlie. Charlie offered Ryu to be the leader of the group for a while. Although it was strange, Ryu still agreed to do it, and then asked Charlie to start organizing the performance. Charlie suddenly said, "So, that's it." He smiled sweetly at Ryu and said that from now on they would work together. They arrived at the company headquarters. Charlie asked why Ryu was so nervous. Ryu lied that he wasn't nervous. Then Charlie said he would help him with everything Ryu had planned. Before this, they only did what the company told them to do. If Ryu wants to change something, let him tell him about it. He would support him. Ryu was noticeably surprised by Charlie's behavior, and yet he was glad. Until now, the company had to plan thousands of different concerts. They were about to have everything handed to them on a silver platter. Charlie noticed a guy who looked like Idol. The guy turned around and looked at Charlie. It turned out it was Kenny, the famous Idol. The project team says that Kenny won first place in the competition. He achieved incredible success. Unlike the guys, Kenny is Idol #1, who always looks great. Charlie nodded to him. Kenny was a little surprised, but still nodded back and said hello to him. Kenny was polite. Charlie asked what was that displeased expression on his face. Ryu replied. He looked at Charlie like that because Charlie came alone. If there was something wrong, he would tell him right away. Charlie decided to tease him and said that he could see in Ryu's eyes that he wanted to say something. Ryu asked if Charlie really cared that much. Charlie laughed and replied, "I wonder." They came into a small conference room and proposed releasing just a single instead of a full album. The employee said that sales have been at record lows in recent days, and it would be better to see how fans react to the new single first. There were no particular successes for 5 years until the contract expired. They are trying their best not to lose their investment, the man said. They are sure he never saved on them. Liar. Right now they're saving money as much as possible to get close to Kenny. The man continued, even if you release one song, it is important to get a reaction. He had prepared good tracks for them. It was better to discuss it, Leo thought. He was very straightforward and persistent. The man turned on a song, Reggae Party, and said that they had 3 candidate songs in total. The song is not bad, but their comeback is in October, so it doesn't suit them. But the company employees really liked it, and they danced happily to it. But the guys themselves were not impressed by this song at all. The staff clearly wants to push this song. Charlie said he wanted to hear the other options, and turned on the second track with a virtual vibe. And Charlie hated her, and it seemed like the staff didn't like her either. But they pretended she was nice. Charlie was very upset and said, "Better the next song." Then the man said, they didn't think the first one was ideal, but they still included the third song. The last song seemed to be quite good. Charlie and Ryu listened to it attentively. The song itself is good, but the lyrics were crap, but that can be worked on. He can't figure out what he likes more, the vocals or the song itself. It turned out that it was Sam's voice. Now Leo realized that Sam had a reason for being so bold. Either way, this song sounds great, and it fits the release season. This is their chance to re-establish themselves. Ryu chose the third song, but the man hinted to them to choose the first song. He convinced the guys that the first song was perfect for them. The lyrics and dance were good. The staff also tried to convince the guys to choose the first song. Charlie decided to watch them. He was very angry. From the very beginning, they all liked the first song, which meant there was a 100% chance it would fail. Ryu tried to defend his choice. He wanted to choose the last song. Little Ryu seems very upset, and these people are serious businessmen. It's useless to play on their feelings. The man said that the company also has a position. They need to come to some kind of compromise. Starting a fight would be pointless because they have a common goal, if there is anything. What they want to get, they must sacrifice something. Charlie stood up and said, then they will do it. But provided that they sing the third song, they will take care of the rest themselves. They will come up with the arrangement, lyrics, and even choreography themselves. Naturally, it is worth thinking about reducing costs first. Since sales figures are far smaller than the lost investment, they suggest other ways to reduce costs. He invests entirely in this part of the production, and the employees became noticeably nervous. But Ryu looked at Charlie as his hero. It seems the staff forgot that our Charlie was born not with a silver spoon in his mouth, but with a gold one. Charlie told the boys that they didn't have to worry. He would do everything right, especially when it comes to money. Charlie played the song they were fighting over. Sam became noticeably nervous. The guys immediately recognized Sam's voice and began to tease him. Charlie said he liked the song, but they can't take a song that doesn't fit their style and concept. He chose the song because he felt it was meant for these guys. Charlie was offered to work on the track and try to improve it, but Sam was against it. Then Charlie asked why. Sam replied because the song was total crap. Well, this time Charlie was really angry. He said if he didn't like her, then at least let her explain why. Sam was silent for a moment, then said that he couldn't tell them the reason, but just let them know that if they chose this song, he would leave. The group's teenage anger, Charlie asked what had gotten into him again. Ryu replied that he didn't know. The system offered Leo to find out what happened to Sam. The picture appeared before his eyes. Sam asked the boss what he meant. The man said it was an order from the CEO. Shin decided to take part in Teenage Singer Star, Leo thought. Who is this Shin? This guy was from the band Flows. Sam finished writing a song for the contest, and now he can meet Shin. The man said that the most effective way is to focus on one person and promote him as much as possible. Sam is a good singer, he has more chances, but the CEO said that Shin is younger. It was at that time that Sam wrote this song. That's why he was so emotional about this song. And yet, if he has an opinion, he needs to defend it. He can't give up like that. Charlie walked up to Sam's door and started pounding on him, screaming that they needed to talk. But Sam didn't answer, so the middle-aged man got fed up with this childishness and opened the door himself. He then walked into the room and took out his headphones, asking Sam why he was acting like a child. It's because of the Teenage Singer Star, Sam shouted. Someone from the company told him about it. Charlie asked if it was important now. What was more important to him was their return. Sam said again. He didn't want to talk about it anymore. He wanted to exercise his right to remain silent. Charlie said Sam is so confident in his abilities that he expects instant public recognition. Sam answered rudely, well, if he doesn't want to, then what? He won't let him out of here. Charlie said, blind singing competition program Star Discovery. Sam said, don't joke like that. Charlie seriously wants him to go there. Charlie showed the phone. Earlier, Charlie asked if they had a free place in any singing competition. He was informed that the second season was scheduled for September. Charlie asked to record them. When Charlie listened to the song at work, he immediately noticed the amazing vocals. Performing this song at the competition will definitely help promote the group. It is necessary to check all the channels through which you can promote songs. This is the first and main step to a successful business. Charlie reminded Sam that their leader was the son of a millionaire, so why not take advantage of that? He promised Sam that he would give them the glory they deserved. But to do so, he needed Sam's vote. So Charlie was able to convince Sam to help him. They went out, and Charlie said the song would stay the way it was. Gene asked, seriously, and Sam that he didn't mind. Sam reluctantly nodded, then they sat down. And they started discussing their new concept. Charlie asked firstly how bad the lyrics of the original song were. Ryu said it didn't fit their image. Jin added it was too simple and unattractive. Sam said the sexy concept was too hard to swallow. He suggested we work on it. If you work on the text, you will notice despair, a feeling as if you are saving someone important to you. Rescue, Charlie suggested using rescue as a keyword. To save your loved ones from the hardships of this cruel world, the concept of a hero. The boys liked it, and Leo began to feel as if he had become younger, and his skin had become silky again. Ryu asked if maybe it was time for them to make a video. He already had a couple of ideas. Charlie said sure, and he offered Ryu to be responsible for his script. Jin took over the arrangement. Nick asked what he should do. The guys looked at him and the atmosphere became heavy. Then Charlie noticed that Sam wanted to get in on the action too. He looked so cute. Charlie said, how about we all write a text together, sketch out whatever comes to mind. And so they will choose the best lines. The guys agreed and started working. Each of the guys worked very hard. The guys wrote the text, came up with the concept, trained. It was already 3 o'clock in the morning. Nick stood on the scales and, looking at the weight, ran to Charlie. He told Charlie that he was able to lose weight. Charlie praised Nick for his hard work. In the morning, Charlie woke up first and made breakfast for the boys. He wondered if they would guess what he was cooking. Traditional bibimbap has a savory flavor, but guys might find it a little bland. So Charlie added some sugar. Jean came over and asked, does it smell good? Is it not a salad today? Charlie said they had done a good job and it was time to have a proper meal. Jean replied that he was looking forward to breakfast. Lately, Charlie has been staying late at work more often, cleaning and even cooking. He's not sick, Charlie replied. Well, he's not 80, Jean said. He speaks like an old man. Jin had a quick bite and said he had to go and suggested they have dinner together. Charlie asked where Jean was going. They had nothing planned for today. Jean said it was a secret and then left, Charlie thought, even if Jean seemed worried. And while he's ready to help, Jin still remains himself. Regardless, hip-hop figures are clearly still trying to reach him. Charlie pushed these thoughts aside, but he couldn't stop his imagination. Later, Charlie put food in the lunchboxes. And at that moment, Sam handed him a notebook. Let him read it and throw it away if he doesn't like it. Having said this, he ran away. Sam is such a tsundere after all. Charlie read Sam's notes. The text was very cute. Charlie walked up to Ryu, who was watching something. Then Charlie asked what Instagram flows was. Ryu replied, yes, he was just curious about how the group was promoting their comeback. Charlie wondered why none of them thought to publicize the news of their comeback via social media. Charlie was upset when he saw the number of subscribers Kenny's group had. They are in the same company, but they are more popular than them. Charlie asked to go to their page. Ryu said Charlie hadn't posted anything for a long time and had very few followers. 53 subscribers, which is less than the number of employees in the company. Charlie was upset because in his past life he had a lot of subscribers and even a golden button. Ryu asked if he wanted to see what he wrote. Charlie replied, of course, as soon as they figured out the text. They'll need to get on social media right away. Charlie really liked Ryu's text. Nick came up and said that he had written the text too, but his text was too simple. Even as a child, Charlie said, it was very cute, but Nick had to go to the gym with Gene. Nick said no. Gene said he was busy today, so he decided to go home. It's strange, because Gene himself suggested taking on Nick. Charlie was surprised and asked if that was true. Ryu said that if you think about it, lately Jin has been going somewhere every evening. And he asked, Gene didn't say where he was going. Nick answered, no. He just asked to pass on the lyrics to the song and left. Charlie took the text and decided to read it, but it was all in English. Jin just handed him the lyrics and walked away, like he was going to ditch them and go into hip-hop right then and there. At the end, Gene wrote, the game is over. Charlie didn't like it, because their lives depended on this comeback. The next evening, when Gene was getting ready to go somewhere again, Charlie decided to follow him. Charlie wondered what the hell Gene was doing, and what he was doing at an abandoned construction site. Charlie looked out and didn't see Gene. He lost him. Then Charlie thought what it meant. He even began to worry that Jin had decided to do something illegal. This would seriously damage the reputation of the entire group. Charlie decided to prevent Gene from doing something terrible. Finally, he found Gene, who was talking to someone. Gene said he told him to wait for the command. It turned out that a super dangerous guy ran out of the apartment and came to the abandoned building to feed the kittens. Gene stroked and fed the babies, and he himself looked incredibly cute. Now, Charlie even felt a little ashamed for thinking badly of Gina. He apologized to Jin in his mind and thought that Jin was always turning everything upside down. The kittens slowly began to surround Charlie and began to meow loudly. Charlie became nervous. Then Gene noticed Charlie and asked what Charlie was doing there. Charlie answered. He came because he was worried about him. Jin laughed and said okay. And Charlie thought about why he was so worried about him, and why he came at all. Jin said that there must have been some kind of misunderstanding. Did he give any reason not to trust him? Charlie answered no, then asked if it was okay to feed cats in front of someone else's house. Jin asked, he's talking about Grandma's house. It doesn't look like much from the outside, but it's pretty nice inside. He remodeled it a bit. They went in and Charlie was surprised how spacious it was. Charlie asked if Gene's grandmother was rich. Gene replied, yes, he has a very rich grandmother. Not a billionaire, of course, but still, in this apartment he feeds cats and sometimes composes songs. Here, Gene opened the door and Charlie saw a beautiful studio. To the uninitiated, this equipment looks very professional. I don't even want to leave this studio and return to their apartment. Jin said that recently my grandmother was hospitalized. Now he feeds the cats, Charlie asked. Hope nothing bad happened to her. Jin replied, no, she's recovering from knee surgery, everything is fine. Charlie replied that he was glad she was okay, but something told him that Gene was lying. Jin said his parents didn't care about him during his entire childhood, and he grew up in the area, in his grandmother's house. And since then, she and he have been responsible for the local stray cats, Charlie thought. So Jin just comes here because he's worried about his grandmother. If you think about it, all he ever thinks about is how to get back on stage, and how to finish this damn quest as soon as possible, but never thought about what these guys are really like. Charlie noticed Gene's look and asked what was wrong. Gene said he just thought Charlie had changed a lot. Charlie had never shown any interest in anyone before, so he quickly decided to change the subject. He asked Jin to refrain from such actions until the comeback. Jin said that their comeback means a lot to him too. His grandmother is also waiting for their comeback, so they have to give it their all. Later, the guys were eating fruit salad. Gene said that they say that anyone who has ever visited Nick's homeland always eats all the food after that. Today we need to start running social networks, Charlie thought. Whether it's a restaurant or an idol group, everyone needs advertising. So it was time to revive their account. Charlie went to their page and was surprised. They now have more than 800 subscribers. The guys were surprised too. Yesterday, Charlie posted a beautiful salad presentation, and everyone asked for the recipe. Ryu said that Nick's sister is trending all over Korea. Charlie went to her page. and I realized that Nick and his sister Nellie are like two peas in a pod. Nellie is a member of a popular girl group. Sam showed the photo that helped them get subscribers. Nellie tagged their group in the photo. Charlie asked if Ryu ever asked Nick to promote their Instagram. Ryu replied that he wanted to ask him to promote them first. On his sister's Instagram, but not wanting to disturb him, Nick said everything was fine. Charlie wondered if they were just lucky, since such a popular person's advertising price was around 100,000. He decided he couldn't just sit there. Charlie jumped up. Ryu asked where he was going. Charlie said when the water starts flowing you have to swim, right? He started looking for information on the internet. They themselves should create trends. How much does it take to invest in advertising to become so popular? He called the manager. And he said he wanted to do a live broadcast. Subscribers saw the post with the salad, and now they are asking for the recipe. The manager reacted somewhat coldly. Charlie didn't like it. He asked to give them the equipment. He wanted to do a live tomorrow night, but the manager said that Flo's had a live tomorrow, so Charlie asked to find some free time. Then he turned off the phone. Charlie was angry that the manager was so indifferent. Charlie decided that they could handle everything themselves, and the guys started cleaning up and getting ready for the live. Jean asked if Charlie was sure they wanted a live. Charlie replied it was all thanks to Nellie. So many people signed up. The guys thought that Charlie was a bit excited today. Finally, Nick came home. Charlie thought again that he and his sister really were incredibly similar. They took a photo for the live preview. Ryu said the only thing that turned out well was the food. The guys started discussing how to improve the photo. Charlie doesn't know how to take pictures, so the guys did some magic on the photo and improved the quality. Don't forget that Leo is not young. So he didn't know how to take pictures, Charlie asked. And what changed, Ryu said. A completely different photo. Ryu decided to write a post. Charlie peeked, thinking how different their tastes were. He wrote a post and posted it. The guys were a little worried. Of course, it's exciting. Charlie exhaled and said, they'd done so much this week. Maybe it was time to take a break. But the guys didn't care about that. They were staring at their phones, waiting for a reaction. Late at night, they got some reactions and they were good. They already have 1,000 likes. The guys were happy. Ryu began to praise that it was all thanks to their Nick. He asked to tell his sister thank you from everyone. Sam called the guys and asked if they saw this. They already have more than 1,000 subscribers. Charlie thought, weird. It was because of one post that they saw Kenny's comments. He asked to be invited. This comment received a flurry of reactions. Ryu asked why all of a sudden. They don't even know each other personally, right? Jin said. In any case, he'll like it. He didn't know why he did it, but if he ignored it, his fans would get angry. Kenny posted a message with the caption, well, they'll invite you to a live. The guys asked what he had in mind. Why would he collaborate with them at all? Charlie decided to try to agree to the offer. Thanks to Kenny, their subscriber count increased by about 10,000 people. The most popular idol decided to make friends with ordinary guys like them. What did he have in mind? The system didn't help Charlie in any way. The guys started calling Charlie. They discussed what to do. The guys got together and said that if they did something wrong, Kenny could easily deprive them of all popularity. Then they wrote a post. They invited Kenny to meet up sometime and eat something tasty. The guys prepared everything for the broadcast. Charlie asked to wash the refrigerator. He gets into the lens. Jin and Nick were playing with celery. Ryu asked them to calm down, and Sam said that he washed everything. The guys started arguing about who would wear which apron, Charlie shouted. They went completely crazy. Live in 5 minutes. Then I asked when their last stream was. Ryu answered, I think, at the end of last year. Charlie asked how many spectators there were then. Ryu answered 300. Leo was upset because he had 30,000 spectators. Hopefully it will be at least more than 40 now. They can't screw it up. Finally the boys gathered and put on their aprons, and Jin finally won the apron he needed. Of course, when Nick is in the middle, he fits into the frame well. But the diet is not over yet. He has no choice but to put him behind everyone. Jin and Sam must be kept apart. Jin was excited, but Ryu was noticeably nervous. Apparently it was his first time in the center. When Charlie asked him to stand in the middle, Ryu was very surprised. His hands were shaking. Then Charlie took Ryu's hand to support him, and finally the broadcast started. Ryu greeted everyone, and Charlie received a new task. He needs to earn 30,000 likes. Too suddenly, Ryu said. The theme of today's live was the much talked about spicy salad. Ryu looked at Charlie and noticed his serious face. Charlie was angry that the system announced the task so suddenly. People started coming to the live. Ryu poked Charlie in the arm and whispered, it's time to get ready. Then Charlie started cooking. Now he was in his element, because in his past life he had often given culinary live shows. Charlie showed them the cutting technique. The guys in the audience were impressed by his technique. Viewers wrote in as he did it. Charlie told them to bend their fingers to avoid cuts. Likes started flying in Charlie. At this rate he would quickly complete his quest. The guy's broadcast went very well, even better than Charlie imagined. The audience noticed Sam, or rather his beauty. The apron did its job. It attracted the attention of the audience. Sam noticed he was being filmed, blushed and turned away, and viewers immediately tweeted about it. Rue said that we were done preparing the ingredients, Charlie added. And now comes the most important part, the sauce. Things were going well, but Charlie only now noticed that the audience didn't know their names. Charlie whispered to Ryu that they should introduce themselves. Then Ryu said, since there were a lot of new people among them. They introduced themselves again. Charlie stepped forward and said, the main dancer. He enjoys cooking. Someone has to feed his kids. Then Jin jumped forward and greeted the sisters, and then introduced himself. He also decided to tease the audience a little by showing off his abs, and it worked. Nick looked forward a little and said, his name is Niku. He is the youngest member of the group. He lacked confidence, so the audience reaction was bad. Finally, the last participant, Sam, suddenly smiled and let his hair down, saying that he was glad to see everyone again. The audience's reaction was immediate. Everyone was talking about Sam's beauty. Charlie was surprised that Sam covered for Nick. Sam also got into his idol mode. Ryu introduced himself again and suggested getting back to cooking. Charlie thought it was close, but it all went well. Their teamwork was just amazing. They returned to making the sauce, Charlie adding 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 1 tablespoon of chopped garlic. Korean trait of shoving garlic everywhere, Charlie added sesame seeds. Everything is almost ready. They put everything on a plate, then poured sauce over everything, and the audience's reaction was good. So the cooking was over. Now it was time to have a mukbang. But Nick seemed to still be thinking about the bad reaction of the audience to him. There's only half an hour left and they only have 20,000 likes. We need to come up with something. It was only now that Charlie noticed that Nick was in a bad mood. And then he saw the hateful comments about Nick. Poor Nick was ready to cry as the comments continued to pour in. Then the system suggested using the fate skill. Ryu is strong in spirit on the stage, reduces fear and other negative effects. Charlie decided to use it on Nick, and as soon as Charlie pressed the button, Nick immediately changed. He said cheerfully, he is so jealous of his little sister. She can eat everything and not gain a bit of weight. He tries very hard to control himself. It worked. The comments started to change their direction from hate to support. His confident answer evoked a positive response, and Charlie praised Nick silently. Ryu came forward and revealed that their group would be making a comeback this fall. Even though the guys were enjoying the live, Charlie was serious. He only had a couple of likes left to complete the task. Ryu whispered to Charlie. He saw the number of spectators. It was 10 times more than before. And they have 30,000 likes. Charlie was nervous because they didn't have 30,000 likes. They almost had. He's certainly glad the kids are enjoying their food. But what else can you do on a mukbang? Nick noticed that Charlie was not eating and asked why Charlie did not touch his food. Charlie took a napkin and wiped the sauce off Nick's face, asking if he was a kid, which got them a ton of likes. Viewers wrote that Charlie really did become their father. Leo thought that he was so old that he really could be his father. Even though he didn't understand why they liked it, he was glad they liked it, Ryu said. 5 minutes left. And he suggested saying a few words and finishing, Jean shouted. But he hadn't finished eating yet. Jean lifted his fork too high, causing the food to fall right on Sam's head. These two already have a tense relationship, and now this, but they have to behave well. Since they were being filmed, Charlie was worried that the two would start fighting again. But then Jin picked up the noodles and apologized to Sam, calling him sir. Even though it was scary, the viewers liked it and they finally got 30,000 likes. The broadcast came to an end and the guys said goodbye to the fans. They were finally done. Everyone was incredibly tired. Charlie praised the guys for the work they had done, and the system congratulated him on completing the task. As a reward, Charlie received Kenny's fate, which was a little strange. He read the comments on their post that night. A lot of things happened, but fortunately people welcomed them warmly. Of course, they got people interested in a dubious way, but still, it worked. Charlie was scared when Nick panicked. All's well that ends well. This fate skill turned out to be more useful than Charlie thought, and now he has Kenny's fate. He wanted to use this destiny, but the system said that he would get it after training. Charlie was angry because it was supposed to be a gift when suddenly a notification came. His manager called him and said that the creators of the entertainment show had contacted him. Charlie replied, "Great," and asked when it would be. The manager replied, "Tomorrow." This greatly surprised Charlie, but the manager, as if nothing had happened, said that he would pick Charlie up at 8. Early in the morning, Charlie gathered the guys and told them that the manager would pick him up for the show. I think this show is called Attack of the School Kitchen. It's like a cooking show. Nick said he knows this show. It's about improving the food in school cafeterias. Jean asked, "They only contacted Charlie yesterday. He will definitely just be in the background." Charlie said they did post a photo of the band live, maybe the show hosts liked it. Sam asked if only Charlie could cook. They all had to go, Charlie replied. No, just the two of them. Rue wanted to suggest Jin, but Jin said he needed to focus on music. Nick said he needs to lose some more weight before appearing on TV. Then Charlie said, only they remain. Sam and Ryu simultaneously proposed each other. Charlie said it definitely wouldn't be difficult. Ryu explained that he decided the more popular one should go. After the live, Sam is on everyone's lips. The manager would also agree. It seems Ryu is sad. Their company policy is to promote the more popular. Ryu was calculating. He thought everything through. And he decided that Sam should go. He wished him luck and went to his place. Charlie began to wonder if he was okay, but Sam said it was time to get going. Background helpers or not, it's a good opportunity for their group. They should hear about them before the comeback. Charlie finished washing and suddenly heard the song. After getting dressed, he went out to the guys and asked if this was their new song. Jin replied, yes, they were listening to it right now. Then Charlie said, great, can't believe it's not finished yet. He hoped that Ryu would listen to her too. Maybe then his mood would improve. Charlie went to Ryu's room, knocking on the door first, but Ryu didn't hear him. Because he was arguing loudly with someone, he was shouting that that was it, that there couldn't be any more chaos. Which can't be removed. Charlie wondered who he was talking to. Ryu turned around and saw him. Then Charlie said awkwardly, the song he wanted to tell before he left. Ryu turned around abruptly and said goodbye to Charlie, but the atmosphere was gloomy. Charlie closed the door and started to wonder what was going on. Sam said that the manager was already here. They went down and got into the car, but Charlie kept thinking about Ryu. He didn't understand him at all. The system offered him to look at Ryu's story, when suddenly Sam said no. You don't have to pay attention to him. That's just the kind of person Ryu is. When they arrived and went into the dressing room, Sam continued. He thinks that Ryu has family problems. Ryu wants to see things through with the group, so we should let him do that. He deserves some personal space. The guys were invited to the court, but the fans were not happy. It turned out that the guys were replacing Kenny, who left at the last minute. Of course, Kenny's fans were very unhappy because they were expecting him to come. But it wasn't all that bad. Some girls, although they were upset, still paid attention to the guys. The girls asked each other who they were. Sam turned around abruptly and said the name of their group. The presenter came out on stage and loudly greeted all the spectators and announced the task. We need to create a new menu for the canteen. The guys have 1 hour, the presenter added. The chefs were unhappy with the amount of time, but the presenter continued to speak. Charlie was calm after all. He had a lot of experience in cooking. He could easily handle it. He took the chicken and thought that it would be difficult to cook even for him. So Charlie decided to use only the legs, because even if you only add them, the soup will be great. Granny noticed this and praised Charlie for his intelligence. The presenter decided to see what the second team was doing, and he noticed that they decided to do the same thing. Charlie thought that copying them would be a disgrace for a chef. Charlie also made sure to add sticky rice to the chicken. 1 tablespoon per leg should be enough. Great job. Charlie looked at Sam and noticed that Sam didn't understand anything at all. So I explained that you need to cut the chicken legs and then add a spoonful of rice inside and tie them up. The members finished preparing the chicken, and it looks like even the idol team is not far behind. Charlie wondered if he had enough time to add some spice to the dish, and I decided it was worth a try. Fortunately, Sam does a good job. He added the secret sauce, then popped the dish in the oven once it was browned. It had to be pulled out and transferred to a plate, which Sam did, and a wonderful aroma filled the scene. The host approached Sam and asked Sam what he thought if things were going well. Then Charlie said, Sam is his assistant. Let them ask him first. He started explaining step by step what he was doing, and Sam stood next to him, looking impressed. Leo was in his element, beaming with happiness as he explained how to prepare the dish. Charlie added at the end that it was much more enjoyable to eat such a dish, and the audience admired Charlie. And the granny on the jury thought it was a bold statement from a child. He reminded her of someone. The judge told the teacher to look to the left corner where Charlie was standing. He also noticed that Charlie was not at all nervous, although usually people get confused when given a task. The judges were surprised that a rich kid could cook so well. They also knew about the salad that Charlie made on live. They were going in the wrong direction, so the teacher reminded them that food was more important than personality here. Then the judges calmed down. Charlie knows every judge. Mrs. Hannah was like a sister to him. Charlie was smiling. Sam asked him what he was smiling about. Charlie replied that he was glad that everything was working out for them. But he was glad that his destiny was connected with cooking. And in this life, the host announced that time was up. First, they will try the food of the idol team. Since they are not chefs, they are allowed to work in pairs. But it seemed there was no need for an advantage, and the dish was placed on the judge's table. Charlie seemed nervous, of course. This was not the first time for him, but he was still worried. The guys won, and the rest watched the show at home, supporting their friends. Ryu congratulated the guys on their victory and praised them for the work they had done. It turned out to be a recording of the show. Charlie was watching it too and thought, they did edit that scene after all. Things were much different then. The teacher said she was sure everyone here had people they missed. The guys wondered what she was getting at, the teacher said. On one old TV show, she tasted the man's chicken soup, and Charlie knew what she meant. He didn't take it off anymore, but thanks to the guys, she tasted the cuisine of a chef she respected. It was strange to Charlie to realize that someone else remembered what his food tasted like. He understands why the scene was cut. Someone might have thought that the judges were bought by Charlie's company. Well, it was fun anyway, and we were able to promote the group. Charlie asked Ryu how the song was. Ryu said he gave it to his manager and got a recording schedule. Jean said that they divided the parts. Brother Charlie will be in the center. But then Charlie said, he's not going to be the center, he's switching with Nick, which the guys clearly didn't expect. Charlie explained that he thought about it for a long time and came to this decision, and that Ryu's video inspired him to think about it. The young soldier protecting the girl decided that Nick's face would fit perfectly. Jean agreed that the memorable moment in the song would suit Nick's voice. But Sam said that Nick needed to throw more since they decided to put him in the center. Ryu asked, his parts are here and there, that's all. Jin didn't seem to understand and answered, yes, why not? Then Ryu said, just to make sure, but it looks like he lied. He probably has something to say. And still decided to remain silent. Jin asked everyone to take care of their health until they wrote everything down. Charlie looked at his piece of paper and thought, this is part of him luckily when he was Leo. He could sing quite well if he used a more youthful tone. He would definitely cope, but confidence alone was not enough. Only drunks and old men could call his singing good. Eventually, Charlie came to the karaoke bar, begging for his singing skills to improve. But he only gave the task to visit karaoke. Even though the song didn't come out, the system turned it on. The system is amazing. It is capable of everything except normal help for poor idols. Charlie took a break. He sang for 7 whole hours. His voice did not disappear, although he hardly rested. And he doesn't think that the reason is only youth. Most likely the system also tried. There is one more time left. Will there be some amazing change? That is what happened with dancing. And it really did work. It sounds completely different. Such is the strength of the vocal cords of a person with a B-rank vocal. He still improved his skill. Charlie hadn't walked at night for a long time. It was nice. Suddenly someone wrote to him. Charlie didn't understand who it was, but the person wrote that he saw the show. Charlie did a good job. Then Charlie realized it was Kenny. He asked why Kenny didn't go himself. Kenny replied that no one wanted to go with him. Charlie thought he meant his band members weren't getting along, so Kenny deleted the message. Then Charlie decided, okay, he had his hands full. The guys met in the studio. Sam sang first. After being promoted from C rank to B, Charlie can appreciate the beauty of Sam's voice. Sam really sings beautifully. Sam finished and asked again. Jean answered, no, he can go out. Looking at Jean, Charlie thought, Jean gets serious when he works. It was his turn. Charlie thought they would get through it quickly if they continued at the same pace. How wrong he was? Sam was just too good, so he got it done quickly. Next was Ryu. But when Charlie turned around and saw that he was gone, Charlie asked where he had gone. Sam answered, went out to answer the call, should be back soon. Then Charlie decided to get everyone some coffee. He went out and saw Ryu, who was still talking. Just as Charlie was about to call him, Ryu shouted where he could get that kind of money. Last time he even had to ask Charlie's mother. You have a conscience, Charlie froze. He decided it would be better to pretend that he had not heard anything. But Ryu noticed him, Charlie said nervously. It's his turn. Ryu turned around and went into the studio. Charlie said that if there was anything he could do to help, but Ryu told him not to get involved. He promises that he won't cause any problems until the comeback. Charlie realized that Ryu clearly didn't like his questions. But Charlie couldn't leave everything like that, Charlie said. Their schedule is even in the chat. They're not just somewhere on the outskirts. This time they have an official schedule. Ryu smiled, and he said they were doing well. While recording, Jin asked Ryu to put in more confidence. Again and again, Jin asked him to concentrate. Now Charlie was worried about Ryu. The guys were watching the show. The next show that involves Climax is my hometown today. This program brings back memories. They were the first ones to interview him. When he graduated from college and got a job at a restaurant, Nick asked what exactly they were going to do. Charlie replied, they would go to the countryside to work in the fields with the elderly. Then they will perform at the festival. It sounds simple in words, but it will be difficult for children who grew up in the city. Jin asked what they would sing. Charlie replied, they would perform 2 of their songs and pick an idol. The theme of the show is to become an idol. There are a lot of old people in that area, so it's unlikely that they understand idol songs. If you are Korean, you will definitely be able to sing at least a couple of lines of Choose Idol. But with Climax's songs, everything is different, Sam said sullenly. It's understandable. They are nobody, Charlie said awkwardly. No, it's just that a song that everyone knows probably lifts the mood. Sam stood up abruptly. Charlie thought he was already angry, but Sam said they were behind schedule. They needed to work on the choreography. Jean supported Sam. Charlie was ready to cry, wondering when they had become like this. Then Charlie said, "First we need to eat." He was about to feed the kids when he heard their stomachs growling. He's glad they agreed without complaint, but honestly, that's the whole point of my hometown today. The fact is that they will work hard all day, but you will be in the release for less than 10 minutes. Charlie is also worried that he can't help that boy, and hopes that food will cheer the boys up a little. They had worked hard and deserved a special dinner, so Charlie chose sea bass. First, you need to cut out the backbone and tendons, lightly fry them to achieve a crispy texture. This will help get rid of the characteristic fishy smell. The base is ready, now it's time to get to the rice. Wash, add seaweed and ginkgo, pour fish broth instead of water, and now a little seasoning. You need to boil it over high heat, then keep it on low heat for 10 minutes. Add seasonings. They all started eating together. Charlie was pleased to see how the children enjoyed their food. He looked at Ryu and thought he could postpone talking to him. I'm sure there would be a better opportunity. After dinner, the boys started practicing dancing. Charlie thought it was because he fed them. No, they were just very good. Nick was in the center and did a good job in that position. Jin said the idea of making the dances cuter was a good one. Ryu suggested choreographing the dance for the new song. Then Jin asked if the choreography was on them too. Charlie said no, and answered the manager's call. The manager said that they had chosen a village, and it was better to set out at dawn. 6 hours by car on either side, 5 guys locked in one car for 12 hours. In order not to torment anyone, Charlie decided to fly on a plane. He will pay. And so they did. Jean and Nick dreamed of getting a private jet when they became famous. Charlie listened to their conversation and was touched by them, thinking, this is youth. They arrived and got into the car. Nick was admiring the cornfields when the show's organizer called. The manager said that they were almost there. The organizer thanked them for arriving so quickly, and suggested that they take a rest today. But it didn't look like a rest. The guys changed their clothes and came to the field. The organizer said that harvesting corn was easy. His dialect was vivid. He seems to be trying to use the speech they are accustomed to, but the peculiarities are still noticeable. The boys went to collect corn. Charlie collected it, and thought that it was because of the sea air that the corn was so large. Little Sammy was struggling to lift a bucket of corn. Jin asked if he could help him, but Sammy told him to get lost. But the youngest one lifted weights easily, which greatly surprised the boys. Charlie is glad they are working hard. These shows can be incredibly exhausting, and it only lasts about 30 seconds on the screen. But it's important to leave a good impression. They will please both the film crew and the residents. Suddenly Sam screamed. Charlie ran and asked what happened. But the big boy was afraid of the little caterpillar, and Charlie was also not eager to touch the caterpillar. The youngest came to the rescue. He calmly picked up the caterpillar. Sam asked, "What if it bites?" But Nick calmly said that he would take his friend away from here. The film crew laughed, unlike Sam and Charlie. The film crew was delighted with the glorious shot. The scene in the cornfield was ready. The children worked well, so they finished early. Charlie was glad they had Nick. Charlie himself was ready to curse when he saw the size of the field. After work, at least he had the opportunity to enjoy the beautiful view. And then they prepared a wonderful dish for the kids. The kids could barely hold back their drooling. Granny brought a plate of food. Charlie stood up abruptly and said, "They could have asked for them." The director was happy with the footage. They were worried that the rumors about the guys being rude were true. Glad it was just a rumor. The guys gathered and Ryu said it was lunch from the corn they had collected. Jean and Nick were the most excited about the meal. Then Charlie noticed the shuttlecock. Then Jin suggested playing a bet. Whoever gets the least amount will wash the dishes. Jin started first and the bro immediately failed. Sam secretly giggled. Sam was next and he was doing pretty well. He had already scored 10 hits. The last one was Charlie. He was confident. He was the king of the shuttlecock, even the champion. Charlie scored over 40. Jean was surprised that he was so good, and realized that every day he learned something new about Charlie. The boys ate, Charlie told them to rest, and he would do the dishes. Jean expressed his respect because Charlie was helping, even though he won. Charlie went to get a basin when he noticed the girls. They asked if they could take a picture of him. Then Charlie decided that it was the local kids who came to watch the filming. Charlie was invited to the filming. He apologized. The girls said they would come to their performance. The first meeting with fans, the guys went on stage. Ryu was worried, because there were few young people. Charlie was also worried, but hoped that everything would be fine and the guys performed. And despite their age, people enjoyed their performance, and it was nice to watch them. The old people were so cheerful. The kids were probably very pleased that they liked it. Gene behaved perfectly on stage. He called the girls. The grannies were happy. Charlie remembered the fans during the performance and found them with his eyes. They seemed sad. Ryu said that they will now perform a song for them that was released last summer. Hearing this, the girls immediately became happy. It seems like they were fans from the very beginning. It's sad to perform other people's songs. What should he do, Charlie thought. He understood that the fans were more concerned about them than they were, so he decided to become the best he could for them. They finished, and Ryu thanked the people for having fun with them. It's a pity, but it's time to say goodbye. But the old guys asked the guys to perform an encore. There was no time, but the organizer still asked Climax to sing one more song. But the boy became nervous. Ryu explained that they had not prepared anything else. Charlie got a new quest. Ryu asked what they would do. Charlie replied, "I have an idea." But they would have to trust him. He asked the organizer if they had that very song. Charlie decided to give them a happy ending by singing an old song. The old people were surprised that the youth knew this song, and the kids didn't expect it either. Even though the guys didn't know the song, they decided to support Charlie and sang all together. It worked out so naturally. Everything turned into a vocal competition. The crowd was happy. The concert ended. The crowd joyfully said goodbye to the guys. The boys also said goodbye to them. Finally home, strange feeling. It was a hard day, but it was fun. The girls were very sad that the boys had left, but were still glad that they had met them. They decided to look at the photos, but unfortunately they were blurred. But the girls still hoped to fix them. The boys boarded the plane, and Charlie thought, the boys met the phantoms. I wonder if they are happy. Charlie thanked them for coming, and the girls wished them luck as they were making a comeback soon. He thought he wouldn't like being an idol, and only tried for the quests. It's a strange feeling after meeting fans. How can they love them so much? Charlie decided to look at the fan account, but still take a rest for today. He fell asleep. Life often gives unexpected opportunities. Everyone on the internet started talking about the guys. The boys returned home, but were still exhausted, so they continued to sleep. Ryu said that he would go wash up first. Charlie nodded. The guys get ready for bed. If Charlie falls asleep like this, he will get sick later. After the shower, he still needs to do some stretching. Finally, Charlie lay down on his bed, wondering if such shows would help them get back. He didn't yet know that the popularity of their group was growing by leaps and bounds, and everyone was talking about Charlie. Thanks to the fans' photo, interest on the internet grew, but Charlie only found out about it sometime later. In the morning, Charlie woke up and saw that his mother was calling him. He called her, and he asked if something was wrong, and my mother asked why he was so pessimistic right away. She was just interested in how the performance went. It was no wonder that his mother was worried about her son, Charlie thought. She asked when he would be free. She missed him very much. Charlie missed his mother's care. Charlie asked how about tomorrow. He wanted to have a snack with her. Mom was very surprised. It seems like past Charlie had a bad relationship with his mom. Charlie suggested meeting tomorrow and he would cook her something. Charlie decided to cook traditional Korean cuisine. Charlie tried very hard. He cooked everything with love and care. Charlie cooked a lot of food. For some reason, Charlie was nervous. Although he was confident in his skills, he was still worried. Mom came and asked if he cooked everything himself. She didn't even think that he would personally make dinner. She took Charlie's hand and said that she and his father were always busy and hadn't really taught him anything. He had grown so much without them. She was grateful to him. She would have to cook dinner herself and invite him. Charlie didn't expect her to be so sad. He didn't know how to behave in such a situation. He asked her to eat. Mom started eating and talking to Charlie about his group. Now Charlie understood. Suddenly the realization came. His mother was offering help. And Charlie wondered if the real Charlie ever regretted his choice. After eating, Mom asked how the others were doing. Everything was fine, Charlie replied. I think so. Mom asked if something had happened to Ryu. She asked because Charlie had already approached her once. Suddenly something happened again. Charlie answered uncertainly, no, nothing like that. Mom said that it was very difficult for him then. It was not easy to tell a friend about problems in the family. At his age, friends and pride mean the world, and now Charlie understood why the misunderstanding had occurred. Mom said she was a little surprised. She thought Charlie wanted to see her because of problems in the group. But Charlie asked Ryu to help him, because Ryu is a good guy. He doesn't like to see him worry about family debts. That day Charlie was really worried about Ryu. She is glad that he cares about his friends. Now Leo realized that what he knew about Charlie might have all been just small details in a bigger picture. Charlie sat at the table and thought, Ryu's situation is more or less clear, but how can he help? Simply offering to help would hurt his pride, and Charlie became upset. He decided to think about the quest. If the group succeeds, then it will become easier for him too. Charlie was looking for popular combinations, and Kenny came up right away. He's really popular. He has a perfect dance routine and wouldn't mind a good choreographer. The system said they needed someone popular, Charlie shouted. Does their group have a chance to invite a celebrity? Suddenly, Charlie has a great idea. If it works out, it's thanks to him. And if not, it's the system's fault. Charlie took the plunge and wrote to Kenny, then became afraid that it might seem too cold. Ryu asked how Charlie hired such a famous choreographer. He heard that he was booked a year in advance. Charlie answered, he was introduced to him. Ryu asked who it was. Charlie answered, Kenny. Sam asked why Kenny was helping them. Jean added that Kenny knew a lot of choreographers. Charlie replied, he just told him to return the favor. They helped with the school kitchen attack after all. Although in reality, the conversation was a bit awkward. It seems Charlie went overboard with the emoticons. Our old man wondered how young people manage to live by saying whatever comes into their heads. Whether their communication is too cold, the merchant's mindset forces them to see everyone as a business partner with whom they need to get closer. Charlie was nervous as hell, but he still sent the message and Kenny agreed to help. The main thing is that he managed to come to an agreement with him. In 3 days he would be free and would help them. Ryu reminded the guys that tomorrow they were doing concept photos and advertising. Nick shouted happily, now it's time for everyone to go to bed and get ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day. It started raining, so the guys missed the filming. So much effort and all in vain. The guys were completely despondent. Then Charlie said that they would drink makgeolli today. Since this happened, the guys decided that they would rest today. Charlie began to cook, and he turned on an old song. Jean asked how long ago Charlie started listening to such ancient tracks. Ryu asked if Charlie knew how to drink makgeolli. Charlie replied that it was nice to drink with good snacks. He prepared snacks, the guys poured drinks and turned on the show. Sam asked how Nick could drink makgeolli, which is a high-calorie alcohol. Nick ignored this and told Charlie that there was a lot of talk about Charlie in the idol communities. He showed a photo. In Charlie's memory, it was something like this. Fans have a keen eye for good photos. Jean suggested calling Charlie their father, since he was earning money for them like a dad. Well, judging by his age, Leo could really be their dad. Suddenly, a message came from the photographer. The photographer suggested postponing the shooting until tomorrow morning, and the guys got nervous. Filming is tomorrow. They have already eaten their fill of fat and alcohol. Jean shouted at Nick to spit out the food. But Charlie said that they could eat in peace. He would sort everything out. Today they are enjoying themselves, but they will think about it tomorrow. Later, Ryu asked the guys to clean up. Nick asked what happened to him. Charlie, it seemed he had had too much to drink. He was lying on the floor and talking about food. In the morning, Charlie woke up with a terrible headache. It seems he had overdone it a bit. Nick, with his perfect face, offered Charlie a cold compress as his face was very swollen. Charlie noticed the porridge and Jin told him that Ryu had cooked it for Charlie. They thought that Charlie might not be well. This touched Charlie. Sam and Jean began to argue, but Charlie said that he was grateful for the concern. Ryu asked the guys to calm down and eat. The weather is nice today, so the photo shoot will go off without a hitch. Charlie was worried because he had drunk too much the day before. But less than an hour had passed and the swelling had already gone down. He had already familiarized himself with the concert. He just needed to put in all his effort, and the children admired the equipment. Finally, the guys started filming. Sam, Jin, and Ryo had already shot the necessary footage. But Charlie doesn't like this shoot. The photographer asked Charlie to repeat the success of the previous photo. He's talking about the one that the fan took. Charlie still didn't understand why everyone liked the photo so much. But if there are more fans, he doesn't mind. So Charlie started posing. The boys were allowed to rest, and Charlie's parents brought them coffee and sweets. Charlie himself didn't know that the vice president, that is his mother, had organized all this. The boys gathered together to look at the photos they had taken, and Charlie praised Nick. Charlie showed the kids some rough sketches of the choreography, and the kids seemed to like it. The kids started dancing, and Charlie pointed out their mistakes. Ryu said that Charlie really knows how to dance. Charlie modestly said that this was not true, but the guys caught on quickly. Then Jean and Nick jumped on him and started telling him that Charlie was talented and humble. Charlie asked them to leave him alone because it was hot there, but the guys just laughed. The photographer took pictures of them and thought that maybe the guys really had a chance. The following photos in this video will show the role of the villain. It seemed interesting if one of the members played this role. And this role was given to Ryu. The guys froze, because Ryu looked like a completely different person. During the break, Nick came up to Ryu and said, "Really good, absolute idol." Charlie also came to praise Ryu. There is a good atmosphere on the court because Ryu started well. Ryu lowered his head in embarrassment and nodded. How cute. Then suddenly someone loudly entered the area. It was the director of the Wild Agency. The director praised the guys for their hard work, and he started handing out drinks to everyone with stickers of his face on them. Charlie was not happy. He wondered why the director came without even calling, and he brought the stage manager. but for some reason he himself was showing off. It was Nick's turn. He had to hit the guy in front of him, and the director also asked him to think about his facial expression, but Nick couldn't do it. He seemed nervous that the director had come to the set. Then Charlie decided to help his friend by suggesting that they imagine that while Nick was stuck behind the glass, they were eating chicken. And it worked. Nick got his bearings and hit the glass properly. Then it was Tom and Jerry's turn. They seemed to have gotten a little bit carried away. The manager praised the guys, but the director complained that they had never tried at all before. Then the manager said, "This time everything is different. All the guys with poison in their hearts are preparing for a comeback." But the director belittled their efforts, saying they were unlikely to make the charts, and that it was just a digital song. Charlie got really angry this time. He was thinking about breaking the contract when suddenly a new task appeared. And he liked it. Charlie seriously decided to become successful, for the sake of the participants, for the sake of his revenge. The system finally gave Charlie permission to interfere with his past life if they made it to the charts. Finally a comeback. We tried our best. Charlie was hoping for first place, but Kenny won. Charlie froze, wondering why they suddenly heard familiar voices and turned around. It was the stepmother who laughed out loud and screamed, "The quest has failed. And since the quest failed, all of Charlie's life force is used up. Leo will die again." Charlie woke up screaming from the nightmare, breathing heavily and thinking, there's no point in performing with Kenny. They had all worked so hard, but he was still nervous. Charlie decided to brush this nightmare off and go practice. But Sam opened the door and walked in, he said, in Star Discoveries. This week they asked to come to a preliminary meeting. It is worth contacting the person who pushed it through. Sam turned away and thanked Charlie, and Charlie had already forgotten that Sam was going to perform on the show. Charlie asked if he had already been called. Sam replied yes. So for now he wants to practice on the song for the competition. And he asked, "Is there no training today?" Charlie, who got up only for training, answered, "Yes." Sam said not to worry. He won't interfere when there are group classes. He has a singer's dream. This is a chance that he can't trade for anything. Charlie looked at the challenge of taking first place and hoped that Sam could bring in more fans. He started asking the system a bunch of questions and demanded immediate answers. The poor guy was completely exhausted and didn't know what to do. So Charlie decided to calm down. That is, he tried to calm down. Charlie had been tormenting the guys with training for several hours already. Sam wasn't with them yet, and Ryu said it would be hard to practice that part without Sam. And he suggested doing it when Sam came. The guys fell to the floor from fatigue. But at that moment the door opened, and Sam walked in with a bag of goodies. Gene said he thought Sam wouldn't come. Sam replied he didn't want to be left behind. While Nick was reaching into the bag, Charlie was thinking, Sam must have a hard time practicing his vocals. Then Charlie offered to practice that game and called Ryu. But it seemed Ryu was busy. Ryu had a terrible look on his face, and Charlie realized that something was wrong. In the morning, summer is over. Autumn is approaching, which means the end of Finding Stars is coming soon. Sam coughed slightly, and Charlie immediately asked Sam, "What kind of cough is that? Are you sick?" But Sam said it was just a sore throat, so Charlie offered him something to eat. The final was coming soon, and he got up in the morning, cleaned the pear, put in the yubi mub, herbs, and with care for Sam, made this masterpiece. "It's good for your throat." Sam started eating. How naive, because Charlie had just cooked it. Sam doesn't even talk about his feelings after the preliminary round. Maybe he's worried about the final. Charlie asked if they could go to the filming together. Sam asked why. Charlie replied, "To support. Why else?" Sam sheepishly grabbed Charlie by the shirt and said he could come over if he was curious. "He's such a tsundere." The manager called Charlie and said there was good news. They received a great offer for a permanent host of the music show, Safe Music. This is a cool opportunity. You can promote their group and even get some advantage. But the guys were very excited. They suggested options for opening phrases. The guys told Ryu to practice. The manager said it was time to prepare for the special edition. But it looks like there was a mix-up. They invited Nick, not Ryu. And so Ryu found himself overboard again. The manager and Nick talked about the upcoming training, and Charlie was worried about Ryu. Ryu seems to be worried about his position in the group lately. That time, Charlie decided to look at Ryu's phone and saw a bunch of hate comments about Ryu. Nick continued to say that he was not sure that the role of the host would suit him. It would be better to give it to Ryu. Then Ryu stood up abruptly and rudely said how Nick could refuse such an offer. "Stop acting like a child," then turned around and walked to his room. Nick had no bad intentions, but he just pulled all of Ryu's triggers. The manager took Nick and Charlie came to Sam. Charlie was still thinking about the incident in the morning. It's quite noisy to share a room with 10 people. If Sam came alone, it would definitely be lonely. The girl came up and said that she had already seen them, like the school kitchen attack. "Aren't they cooks?" Charlie laughed and said, "They're singers, the group climax." Some man said what kind of singers they are. The stars' fines also go to the bottom, since the idols reached the final. If you are an idol, then you need to behave accordingly. You need to leave if you have shown enough of your face, Charlie thought, speaking so that they could hear, really brazenly, and asked if there was such an atmosphere in the preliminary round too. Sam said there was no need to worry. It was because he had performed well. Host Kenny came out and greeted the audience. Today the participants will go through 2 stages of the blind competition. This season there is a new rule added, the Super Pass rule. And when the judges cast all the votes for one participant, the unanimous participant will receive a Super Pass. He will not pass the second stage and will go straight to the final. Who will get this advantage? Sam has already been chosen 3 times. Charlie was happy, because this is already an application for a Super Pass. Before the final, we'll have to go through another test. It seems that the Super Pass flew away from participant Sam in a superb way. A few hours ago, in the first stage waiting room, Kenny came to the guys. Charlie asked what happened. Kenny replied that he had been asked to act as a judge. He's not even the lead singer. Charlie thought Kenny was trying to piss him off. The manager decided to get Kenny out as quickly as possible. Kenny said goodbye to the guys. Sammy came back and Charlie complained that Sam was so much better than number 3, which is absurd. And why is this Kenny getting involved in all the climax stuff? Sam said. It's even better this way. He can sing again. He will cope. So the second stage has begun. This time both participants will sing one song. And the girl group's song, this song was playing from every crack in TikTok. Charlie got worried. Even if it was Sam, many notes were hard to hit. But Sam started singing and Charlie froze. And not only Charlie, the entire audience was delighted. This performance will be 100% remembered by the audience. This isn't the picture Kenny painted. No way, Charlie thought. Sam came down and Charlie gave him some water and said, "Sam's such a good boy." Sam said there was no need to worry. Charlie patted him on the head and praised him again, although he was a little sad that Sam didn't call him Hyung. It was already night. The guys were returning home. Kenny gave Sam a voice at the end, and the criticism was fair. Still, Charlie was worried and asked if the manager knew Kenny would be the referee. The manager replied. At first Kenny didn't want to go, but changed his mind. Charlie asked, "Kenny will be a judge in the final too." And the manager said, "No, it's a public vote in the end." Charlie said, he always thought Kenny was good. But the manager said he is very vindictive towards those who irritate him. In the morning, Charlie and Nick wished Sam good luck. He looked at them sullenly. Charlie felt like he was kicking his son out of the house to school. Then Charlie said he wanted to do it together. But they needed to practice the dance, he understood. Nick added that while Sam is raising the band's profile, they should be making every effort to make a comeback. Sam walked away sullenly. Ryu ran up and showed the comments of people who claimed that Climax stole the song. Kenny's comeback was delayed because they stole their song. Complete nonsense. The guys don't have the strength to delay the comeback of a popular group, Jin asked who put out such nonsense. Ryu suddenly remembered something and asked if the agency had wanted to push those weird songs on them before. As it turns out, these songs were for Kenny's band. For some reason, their return was postponed. Even though everything was already ready, the guys continued to read absurd comments. They started writing that they would specifically remove Sam from the competition to avenge their beloved Kenny. Jean screamed. Because of them, Kenny's comeback was delayed, and now they want to set them up in the finale of the show. How convenient that all this came out right before the finale. Charlie asked not to tell Sam about it. He was already nervous before the final. Charlie remembered the conversation with the manager in the car. Why did they get offended at their group? Suddenly, Charlie remembered the show where he cooked. He realized something and went to his room. He immediately called Kenny and asked, "Can they talk? Straight to the point? Has he seen the rumors about them and Kenny? They didn't take the song away from them. If the rumors are true and this song was for their group, then the director wouldn't have given it to them." Kenny said he knew what really happened. Charlie asked if he could then write about it on social media. But Kenny brazenly asked why. Charlie was seething with rage. Because of this freak, their comeback would be ruined. Charlie said he was just predicting, but apparently it's true. Instead of further inflating the topic, it's better to drag out time until the end of the finale. Because of Kenny, their group got into some kind of controversy, and he doesn't want to take responsibility. But Kenny said he didn't want to get involved. Apparently Charlie didn't know his nickname. He turned off the phone. Charlie started screaming and swearing. The jerk did all this, and now he decided to jump off. Charlie called the system, but the window started to disappear. Charlie asked what was going on. Suddenly, Charlie's body began to disappear. A sharp pain struck Charlie's heart and he fell. Charlie had trouble breathing. The boys ran to him and shouted what was wrong. Charlie thought he was dying again. "Office," the teacher said. "Today is the shooting of the graduation album. That's why everyone is so beautiful." Suddenly they called Leo. Student Leo stood up. He was 26 years old then. Leo was still sleepy. His friend said, Leo, even when he sleeps, is busy with his business plan. A classmate called Leo and said that he couldn't be filmed looking like that, and helped him with his makeup. The girl said that Leo didn't seem like his usual self at all. Leo asked what they were talking about. The guys dragged him to take a selfie, and then started laughing and asking if he was okay. Leo really felt strange. His friends asked if Leo was in love. He was acting kind of strange today. Leo lay down and started thinking about what he had been doing lately. The song started playing in his head, and he finally remembered Charlie and the boys. He suddenly stood up and began to dance the dance that he and the guys had rehearsed so much. Friends asked why he was dancing. Leo said that he heard a popular song, but the guys said that they did not hear anything. Leo asked how they couldn't hear. Suddenly the friends' faces began to dissolve, and they approached Leo. Soon the friend's face turned into Charlie's face, and Charlie asked who he was. The system reported an error. Return to Charlie was forcibly terminated, Charlie said. If I could have held on a little longer, I could have returned to Charlie. Is he Charlie? What is he talking about? Is he this contract? It looks like the system crashed. The real Charlie came to Leo. The system tried to reboot. The system reported that it had found the cause of the error. The delay was caused by a collision with another soul. Leo or Charlie opened his eyes. Ryu was sitting next to him. Leo was wondering how much time had passed. Charlie asked how the others were. Ryu asked if they were worth worrying about right now. Then he replied, "No need to worry, to cheer them up. Sam sent him here first." Ryu's eyes were red and Charlie noticed it. He asked Ryu why he was crying. Ryu lied that only Nick was crying. Charlie was touched and just laughed. Charlie asked how long he had been unconscious. Ryu replied less than an hour. Charlie got up, but Ryu was against it. He asked where he was going, Charlie replied, to see Sam's brilliant victory. A few minutes later, the system apologized for the late response. Charlie swore and asked for an explanation, but the system said that Leo could not read the information yet. Leo himself realized that the system was behaving suspiciously, because he saw the real Charlie. Charlie was depressed. Didn't Charlie agree to this quest to fulfill his wishes? Then Charlie asked how he should trust the system. There are guarantees that something like this will never happen again. He almost died. The system said it updated the security program. The system asked to trust. Charlie decided to trust the system again. He asked to be brought back because he had a lot of work, but suddenly a task appeared. Find Charlie. Leo asked to give him the item he received by completing the previous tasks. A skill that can change the percentage of public opinion. Charlie used it, and immediately supportive comments towards the guys appeared on the internet. Meanwhile, at the competition, the winner took off his mask, and it was our Sam. The guys ran to him. Nick and Jean were already there and were happy for Sammy. The boys called out to Sam and congratulated him. Sammy looked at them. He was clearly glad they were there. After coming down from the stage, Sam immediately ran to scold Charlie for coming. It seemed that Sam had also heard the news that Charlie was in the hospital and was worried. Charlie asked Sam what was worrying about him. He was just asking, just in case. Sam blushed and shouted, "No need to flatter yourself. What kind of leader is he if he can't even look after himself?" Charlie was even a little happy about the system failure, and Kenny watched the broadcast in the car. He said it a bit gloomily. In the end, Sam won. It doesn't seem like he's happy for the guys. In the morning, Charlie shouted joyfully. Sam had a fan account. The guys were also happy. Charlie asked if it was all about good photos. He already has a lot of followers. Then Charlie watched Nick's debut. The video went viral, and Nick hosted the show with his sister. Earlier, Charlie and Rue were watching the show together, and Charlie revealed that they chose Nick because they thought a brother and sister would look cool. Ryu replied. He heard. It worked out great. Charlie was angry that the manager didn't explain everything properly from the beginning. And because of this, Ryu was upset anyway. They both got attention, so everything is fine. The guys had already decided that they could go home, but Nelly stopped them and asked them to film the TikTok challenge. Nelly showed them the moves, and the boys repeated them. She noticed that Charlie, as the main dancer, grasped everything on the fly. Thanks to this video, the guys managed to attract the public's attention once again. But Charlie was worried because there was no word about Ryu again. This would definitely upset Ryu. Charlie came out and told the boys to wash the dishes, and then asked where Ryu was. Sam said, talking to someone on the balcony. Recently the group members have been achieving success, each in their own field. Ryu must be worried, but Charlie thought he had good news for Ryu too. He was offered to shoot an advertisement for a fruit drink that is advertised only by the most popular young stars. It was all thanks to Ryu's brilliant performance in the video that the offer came from his mother. Ryu noticed Charlie staring at him and went out. Charlie talked. Then Ryu asked if Charlie wanted to say something, or was afraid that he would ask Charlie for help again. Charlie tensed up and said, "No." Why would Ryu do this all of a sudden? Ryu walked past and said that he would handle everything himself. Now Ryu's self-esteem is at rock bottom. Charlie grabbed his hand and said that they needed to talk. His aloofness bothered Charlie a little. Ryu asked what Charlie wanted to talk about. Charlie didn't mean to scold Ryu. He understands what Ryu is worried about. Ryu is proud. He can't live without work. He probably doesn't want to start having problems because of his family again. And of course, he won't leave him in trouble either. Charlie said he has good news, so he can relax. Ryu was offered to film an advertisement for the drink, and it is clear that Ryu was skeptical about it. He asked why he was suddenly offered an advertisement. Charlie replied that Ryu played so cool in their video. Mom saw him in the video, and upon hearing this, Ryu suddenly plunged into even greater despair. Charlie noticed this and tried to speak cheerfully. This is an individual contract. Ryu will be paid separately. There is still time before the comeback, but Ryu will receive a fee for this quarter. Ryu agreed. He doesn't care if Charlie does it out of pity or for some other reason, but he doesn't have the heart to refuse. Charlie started to protest that it wasn't out of pity, but the door opened and Sam walked in. And he said, "Let them both come out." He brought them something to eat. The guys came out, and Charlie saw rice sticks. He asked who cooked. Nick said he and Sam. Gene said he participated too. Nick said that Gene helped too, but he burned it a little. Sam added that if you eat this, you'll die. Charlie was eating and thinking that he needed to somehow explain himself to Ryu, when suddenly Sam asked, "So that's what's going on there. Stop cooing like doves. They want to know too." They were one team. Ryu hesitated, but Charlie believed that Sam was right. This doesn't just apply to Ryu, but to the entire group. He forgot that the guys would of course be worried too. Charlie told him everything. Then Gene took Charlie's phone and said that he needed to ask Charlie's mom directly. Find out if she really chose Ryu because of his talent, Mom asked. Charlie talked to Ryu. The advertising agency said that they wanted to see Ryu. Did he really refuse? Ryu is perfect for this commercial. He is also a great actor. Hearing this, Ryu blushed. Charlie decided to make fun of Ryu and asked if it was by any chance that he asked for this. Sam is right. If there are problems, they should solve them together. That's what a team is all about. On the day of filming, Ryu read the script and smiled as he recalled his conversation with Charlie. Ryu was called to the shoot and he quickly jumped up. It seems the baby was happy. The guys watched the commercial together and Gene said, "That would be amazing. If only I could do that from the start." Why did Ryu make such a fuss? Ryu was a little embarrassed. Jin shouted, "Next time let him just admit that he can handle it." Charlie watched the boys proudly, Ryu's charm finally getting noticed on the internet. Jin began to tease Ryu by quoting Ryu's lines. Nick also joined in. Ryu can shine too if he wants to. Charlie was very happy that Ryu was in a good mood. 5 days before the release of the song, the guys did a broadcast. They said hello. People have been writing lots of sweet comments about Ryu. It seems like little Ryu is in a good mood. It seems Ryu has become very popular. Fans have been asking for teaser photos. But Jin said they haven't been sent them yet either. Then Ryu offered to show a couple of pictures from the shoot. Nick shouted, "Ryu is also an amazing photographer." The guys went overboard with compliments. It seemed they were still worried about him. Ryu was embarrassed and asked the guys to stop. Jin started showing the photos. Suddenly a selfie appeared. The guys asked why Ryu didn't show it to them. Just as fans started writing laudatory comments about Ryu, her mother wrote that she felt bad. Charlie grabbed his phone and lied that Ryu's mother had gone hiking and was very tired. In fact, she wrote that Ryu's father showed up and demanded money after he saw the advertisement. Luckily, fans believed it and wrote sweet comments, and Ryu moved on. Charlie looked at him and realized that he could no longer just stand by. Later, Ryu met with his father and asked why he kept calling. The father asked impudently. He didn't even say hello. He was still his father. Ryu quietly said that he had already poisoned the money, stopped torturing Mom, but his father shouted, "That's not all." The puppy put some makeup on himself, starred in an advertisement, and immediately forgot who raised him. The old man's impudence was off the charts and Ryu could no longer stand it. He asked when this father was. When he cared about him at all, the only one who raised and educated him was his mother. After the argument, the father came out and continued to scold Ryu, calling him a useless puppy. Charlie was watching him, and when his father went into the corner, he stopped him. Ryu definitely won't like it. Charlie said that he was a friend of Ryu, and asked if he needed money, he would give it to them. But on one condition, the moment the father receives the money, he will never appear in front of his family again. "Let him choose money or family," the boar replied. "Money, of course. Money is more reliable than family." Charlie won't understand this, because he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He thinks it's a threat. How naive he was. He thought that as soon as he got the money, he would do whatever he wanted. "Even better, this guy has more money," Charlie suddenly said. Hopefully the old man someday. He would regret this choice, Charlie thought. One day he would want to see them again, even if he had to give up his entire fortune for it. Charlie ordered him to be taken away. At home, the boys were worried that Charlie was still not home, even though it was already dark. Ryu asked. Charlie left right after he came out. He seemed to understand everything. The door opened and Charlie walked in. Seeing the boys, Charlie asked why they weren't sleeping. Ryu stood up abruptly and asked if Charlie had met his father. Charlie replied that it just happened, but he got it all sorted out. No need to worry. Ryu shouted what it meant. Charlie that he gave him money. Charlie answered a little too simply. Yes, he gave it and then sent it where it should go. The atmosphere became dark, and the boys became scared when Ryu started shouting that money wouldn't solve the problems. He kept yelling that his father would start coming more often. Then Charlie grabbed him and said, "Don't worry, this won't happen. He knows perfectly well that there are relationships worse than money." Now Charlie knew how to deal with it. He said that he sent Ryu's father to the gambling addiction center. Tears appeared in Ryu's eyes, and he asked how Charlie could do it. No matter how hard his mother and he tried, they couldn't persuade him. Charlie, or rather Leo, said, "The treatment will take a long time, but now he will make sure that neither Ryu nor his mother suffer anymore." He knows what Ryu had to go through, having to act like an adult while being alone. Ryu could no longer hold back his tears. The baby had been through a lot and suffered for a long time. Later, Ryu admitted that he thought he was using Charlie all this time, it seemed. If he didn't do this, he would be consumed by an inferiority complex. He envied Charlie, his ideal position. And in his own way, he considered Charlie immature, recently, when they resumed their group. His father called him again, although he had already forgotten about him. It did not give him peace. It seems he became even colder towards Charlie. Ryu asked Charlie for forgiveness. This is the first time Charlie hears about Ryu's true feelings. He pats Ryu on the head like a dad, and he said, "Everything is fine. In such cases, you just need to say thank you. Now the misunderstanding has been resolved." It seems like the little kids were worried and eavesdropping on Ryu and Charlie's conversation. Opening the door, the boys fell into the room like dominoes. Ryu asked what they were doing. The other members consoled Ryu in their own ways, but just having them there with him was enough. 6 hours until the release, the day has finally arrived that will decide the fate of the band. The guys watched the teaser all together, and after seeing Nick's touching performance, the guys and fans called him a genius. The reaction to the teaser was great. Jin said, "Stop reading comments, time to start training." They've been doing everything they could for the past 6 months in preparation for their comeback, and now the only thing left for them to do was just wait for the results. Nick was filming the guys and talking. The perfect composer to create the song for their comeback. Is he nervous? Jin said no. Then Nick asked if Sam was nervous. Sam replied, "Not really." The recording went well, Nick wondered. Aren't they worried at all? Ryu asked what was wrong. Nick admitted that he was worried. He wanted to show his best side. But the elders act so calmly. But when Nick saw Charlie, he realized that Charlie was worried more than he was. His blow is now enough. Finally, the band's song came out. The guys were terribly nervous. The song came out 10 minutes ago. The guys were in 60th place. Nick was happy that they were in the top 100. Jin admitted that it wasn't that bad. They also made it into the online rankings. Ryu said it was hard to get into the charts before, but they tried hard. But Charlie was still nervous, considering their previous attempts. This was an amazing achievement. However, for Charlie, just not bad isn't good enough. 30 minutes after its release, the song had already risen to 30th place, and the guys seemed to be watching Charlie's reaction. Charlie knew he was ruining the mood, but he couldn't help himself. If things continue like this, he'll just die. Nick tried to cheer Charlie up by saying they were already in the top 200. This didn't make Charlie very happy, but the guys continued to try to cheer him up. They encouraged each other, saying they would do better next time. But for Charlie, there might not be a next time. Charlie was in a depressed mood. He was angry but couldn't explain anything, so he said the contract was ending soon. He can't explain the essence of the quest, which puts his life at stake. He is scared and lonely. Nick promised that he would never forget the boys after everything they had been through together. Charlie has to calm everyone down, tell them that everything is fine, they need to pull themselves together. Sam said nothing would have changed. He just wants to say it wasn't his fault. Jean asked Sam to be quiet and said that none of them were to blame. They all tried. He also tried to reassure Charlie by saying that people liked the song, so there was a chance. But Charlie snapped again, saying that if the contract wasn't renewed, it would all be over. Then Jean got angry and started saying, "Charlie thinks it's only him who's having a hard time. They've been through all this together." Ryu asked Charlie to pull himself together. 6 months ago, they thought it was all over. Remember who gave them a second chance and helped them shine again? It was their leader. So you can't give up and just do what you did before. It seems like Ryu's speech helped Charlie. Charlie sat in his room and silently thanked Ryu, because if it weren't for Ryu, he would have messed up. When you lose hope, it's hard to stay calm. The quest was unfinished. Charlie checked the chart position again. The reviews are good, but the start is too weak. No matter how hard they try, if they don't find out about them, there's little point. They need to come up with something. Marketing is his theme. Even people who don't know their song should hear it. With no choice but to personally force their song on the people, Charlie came out and told the boys to get dressed. The guys didn't understand anything, but they were already sitting in the car, and Jin was driving them to Hongdae. Nick was unsure. He asked if Charlie really thought it would work. Charlie said they should try it before they regret it, the best way to promote a new product. This is to give a free sample to try, to attract the attention of those who don't know them. Giving them the opportunity to try is the only option. The guys got everything ready. Charlie took the microphone and greeted people. People started to gather, and Charlie said that they had come here to perform. With their new song, more and more people came and they started filming the guys. The boys took their positions, turned on the song, and started dancing. The crowd liked the boys' performance. They filmed and supported the boys. They also recognized Sam, thanks to that competition. From now on, they will do street performances more often. Despite his sudden idea, everyone agreed without words. Charlie was grateful to the guys, that they believe in him, and that they proved that not all is lost. They did not stop at Hongdae. They were driving to the next stop, Jean said cheerfully. Why didn't Charlie suggest it earlier? Jean seems inspired. Nick said their fans are already reacting. Should he write down their next stop? Nick asked, and Ryu said yes. After seeing the guys post, fans came running to support the boys. Nick saw a poster with himself and asked if they would listen to their new song. The fans liked it. They started shouting joyfully. The guys didn't stop. The guys continued to travel to other areas and performed there. Suddenly, the girls called Charlie and thanked him for not giving up. They were waiting for them to return. They would support them. Charlie thanked them for waiting. But of course, since it was not agreed upon, the manager began to scold the guys. He asked why the manager was finding out about this from the news. Charlie asked if it wasn't good that they were being written about. Now they know about them before the official performance. The manager continued to swear. Ryu took the phone and said that they wouldn't cause any trouble, so there was no need to worry, as always. Sometime later in the dressing room, the manager scolded them, asking if they were going to do everything their own way. Then why do they even need an agency? And really, why do they need an agency? Charlie paid for the filming and he organized the performance. While the manager was scolding the guys, they were busy with their own things and didn't even listen to him. Finally, Charlie decided to shut the manager up by showing that they had reached #1 in the charts. Everything seemed to be fine, but for some reason the system didn't react in any way, which scared Charlie. Charlie pressed the screen irritably, trying to somehow find out the answer. But the guys already had to perform, so he decided to leave it for later. The boys got together and Charlie said they had to perform as if their lives depended on it. After all, this concert could be their last. The guys raised their hands and went on stage. The song will mark their return, their moment of triumph. This time, they will give it their all. They will show everything they have on stage. They had fun. They didn't want to stop. Together, they wanted to show the fans and everyone else what they were capable of. For themselves, for the band members, and for the fans who have been waiting for them. The performance ended. Nick, as the host, came out on stage. He didn't even have time to change his clothes. The poor guy seemed tired after his performance. His hands were shaking and he was stuttering. Nick announced the contenders for first place. The guys were on this list. Charlie was breathless with excitement. His heart was ready to jump out. He was afraid that he will fail the quest, and then there will be no second chance. His life is at stake. Ryu noticed that Charlie was nervous and took his hand. Just like back then at their first live, Charlie took his. Nick opened the envelope to announce the winners, but immediately began to cry. He ran to Charlie and hugged him. Tears shed with Nick that day. They weren't just from joy, but proof that he was still alive, that they were still together, and that they have a future. The boys succeeded. They were able to take first place. The guys' victory on the show became a hot topic, and let's just say for many reasons. It seemed that the conflict between the fans of the guys and Kenny had died down. But suddenly, one careless comment, and the conflict flared up with renewed vigor. Like a time bomb, their first appearance after their comeback arrived. And it was on the radio show hosted by Kenny. Kenny congratulated the guys on first place. The atmosphere in the studio was good, but in the chat there were constant arguments between the phantoms. But Kenny spoke as if nothing had happened. He said that many people became fans, thanks to the legendary photo of Charlie from the show My Hometown. How did it come about? Charlie replied. He had been picking corn all day that day. Charlie tried to ignore the chat. But it's difficult. If it continues like this, the atmosphere in the studio will deteriorate. However, Kenny continued to speak calmly. He reminded that he and Sam had already met on the show. He spoke cheerfully to the boys and Charlie couldn't help but notice Kenny's professionalism. Kenny suggested the guys to sing their song. Even with such a chat, Kenny is calm. But Kenny also saw that the chat was in complete chaos. People were remembering the voting on that show with Sam. Even though they don't know the whole truth, that day, that man told Kenny to vote for him. He pressured Kenny by saying that he was close to his father. Kenny asked him not to mention his father. But then the man began to blackmail Kenny, hinting that he might tell something. And what if the conversation turns to the past? Does Kenny need that anyway? This loser ruined his group and their contract will end soon. Even though they are in the same agency, there was no benefit from him. Kenny stated that he wanted to be judged on his talent, but the men threatened him again. The manager came and asked, "Is Kenny coming? They are already late for the photo shoot." There were less than 2 weeks left until the end of the contract. The director tried to flatter. He praised Ryu for his recognition after the commercial, Charlie for his work. The director tried to save face. He repeated that he chose the right song for them, and thanks to him they are at their best. The sycophants clapped and praised him. Charlie stood up abruptly and threw his notebooks on the table. And he said, "Don't they understand? These are all the materials that he collected to prepare for the group's return. From the album concept to costumes, arrangements, lyrics, and set booking. It's safe to say that the effort he put into this comeback is worth the company's efforts tenfold." Now it's the director's turn to explain to him why they should renew the contract. The director tried to look important. He said that breaking the contract like this was not the best solution. Yes, they are having a surge in popularity now, but how long will it last without the support of an agency? And regarding the name, they know that according to the contract, it belongs to their agency. Charlie was really annoyed with this old man, now that the first stage was over. The main thing is to prepare for the next one. There is no point in wasting energy on meaningless arguments. At night, the guys celebrated the contract extension, or rather, they were happy that they were together. The guys weren't very happy about the contract extension with this company, but they had no choice. But the guys were able to negotiate favorable conditions. Firstly, they achieved a fairer distribution of income. Secondly, the contract term is now only 1 year. If the company ignores them again, they can leave at any time. It's not clear yet what the next quest will be, so leaving the agency abruptly would be risky. Ryu asked the guys to go to bed. Jin has filming tomorrow. Sam has a radio broadcast. Thus began a new stage after the contract extension. Now the guys are getting personal projects. Jean came to the popular drinking show. Nick received big posters. They were no longer just a replacement for Kenny. But thanks to the Phantom, they held their positions in the charts until the end of the promo. Ryu and Charlie came to the show as guests. The guys said hello. It was necessary to guess the song, and Charlie easily managed to guess old songs. And during this competition, Charlie finally received a new task. But Charlie wasn't particularly happy about it. The main quest was to defeat Kenny's group. What exactly to win in the charts, to gain more fans, the wording is too vague. Their mentions in fan communities are growing. Whatever the meaning of this quest, now is the time. When fans and the public want content, even Kenny now gets more fans through his own content. If they don't keep up the activity, all their hard-earned popularity will simply disappear. And that is why they ended up in this god-forsaken village. And here the sad story of the 5 participants begins, who make their own content for the love of fans, as a first step. Upon successfully completing the quest, they began discussing creating their own content. A new studio division spun off from a major entertainment company. Full of enthusiasm and energy, their goal is to attract new fans and strengthen the connection with existing ones. Charlie said that they just want the public to get to know their band first. During their latest promotional campaign, they have already proven themselves to be hard-working idols. But it's still a long way from widespread popularity. The main message is closeness, and that's where it starts. And that's how the boys ended up here. The boys were cleaning the house in full dust. They were lucky that there was water and electricity. After long discussions, they decided. Filming popular content, in the spirit of the show 3 meals a day, fortunately, Grandma Ryu's house was empty. So there were no problems with choosing a location. The guys prepared a variety of food, ran the household, and worked in the garden. If they are shown sincerely as they master village life, they can win the public's trust naturally. The cameraman approached Charlie and asked if this was Charlie's first time in the village. Charlie replied, yes. Charlie had forgotten about the cameras. There were cameras everywhere. The team is trying. This crew was recommended to them by Kenny. After he filled in for Kenny again on one show, Charlie asked for a favor. Ryu said that everything inside was almost ready. The garden needed to be cleared. Charlie offered himself. Sam asked if they would come here every week for 2 days and stay overnight. Charlie asked if Sam was having a hard time. Sam replied no, but next time he should bring more blankets and pillows. And Charlie better sleep on a mattress. We have to think about his back. Charlie asked what worries about him. Sam became embarrassed and said, no, it's just that Charlie is the main dancer. Charlie felt more and more like a father, next to them. The boys were cleaning the garden. The cameraman approached Sam and asked if he liked living in the village. Sam answered honestly, no. The operator got nervous, but Sam continued. Charlie called, so he came. It always happens that the elder speaks, the operator said. It seems the guys trust the leader a lot. Charlie joked that it only happened in public, but the cameraman reminded him that Sam screamed when he saw the bug. Is there a reason why Sam doesn't like insects? Sam became embarrassed and said, no, he just hates everything small and wriggly. Charlie and Sam are almost done with the garden. The rest will be done next time. Then Charlie thought about what to cook for dinner. Lettuce leaves. You can use them. Suddenly, Charlie noticed that the crumpled clothes were moving and decided to see what was there. Sam was scared and asked if it was dangerous. Charlie replied that it was probably okay. Charlie seemed scared himself, but when he lifted his shirt, they saw beautiful creatures. They were cute kittens, but their adorable appearance made Sam break out in a cold sweat. He was afraid of everything small and wriggly. Charlie asked Sam to move the babies. But Sam didn't want to do this, so Charlie decided to make fun of him by saying that he still had to collect leaves. Or Sam wants to do it. Who knows what else is hiding in the city? Then Sam gave up. The operator was fired up by the idea. A handsome man with kittens. A real cheat code for views. He wanted to make a cover with a kitten. Well, it's nice that the cameraman is trying. At home, Charlie placed the kittens in a cardboard box and did not touch them with bare hands. They started thinking about where to put the kittens. Ryu suggested the barn, where they could hide from the rain. Jin said that there was most likely a mother cat nearby, so it was better not to touch it with your hands. Then he said he would like to have something to eat. Charlie showed him the vegetables. Ryu said that he only took the sauce for the meat. Jin suggested asking the neighbors for some soybean paste. But Ryu said that only the headman lived nearby. It was inconvenient to do so without warning. Jin was optimistic. He said that they could even help the headman with something. And thanks to Jin's outstanding communication skills, they got what they wanted. Not only did they get homemade soybean paste, they also got to try homemade tofu. Although Jin looks menacing, he is actually very polite and could make friends with anyone. Wherever Jin goes, he gets love. It's great to have such a friend. The guys gathered, fried some meat, poured some drinks, and began to celebrate. Just as Nick wanted to rest, Ryu suddenly gave him a piece of paper and said, "This is a self-profile. They have to fill it out. But Charlie has a problem because he's Leo, not Charlie. And he didn't know much about Charlie, so he started to worry and think about how to find out this information. But Nick called his mother to ask where he was born, and Charlie exhaled. It's possible, after all. Ordinary people might not remember this. They can ask Charlie's mother. He was a little nervous, but suddenly his mother called Charlie herself. She apologized for calling late. Charlie said he was going to call himself, but it sounded like an excuse. Mom asked if Charlie could come home next week. The chairman wants Charlie to be at the family dinner too. It's weird that they call each other by titles. At dinner, Charlie ate with gusto, which surprised his mother. Apparently, Charlie rarely ate with his family. Charlie replied, "It's just that the food is very tasty. The real Charlie didn't seem to like eating. But this is Leo, and he is a big fan of food. He enjoyed every dish." Charlie's father said it was better that way than if Charlie hadn't touched the food at all. Charlie thanked him for the invitation and wanted to say something else, but he was interrupted. It was Oliver. He asked for Charlie. He hadn't shown up all this time, and now he suddenly came. He was the chairman's left-hand man, and Chelsea added, "Charlie is always busy with his idolism." She was the chairman's right-hand man. Well, now it makes sense why Charlie didn't come to that snake and viper dinner. Oliver and Chelsea are Charlie's children from his first wife, free brother and sister, and occupy leading positions in the company. So they are obviously annoyed by the younger brother idol, but in the public sphere he has surpassed them. Charlie apologized to his father and said that he was late because they had renewed their contract, and he was even able to change the terms of the contract. Now the participants will receive several times more. The mother was happy for her son. She praised him, and the father asked what next. "There are some plans," Charlie replied. During the comeback, he developed an interest in managing idol groups. He understands that he has not always been a reliable son to his father, but if he comes with a clear business plan, he asks to be given a chance. Mom was proud of her son, but Dad didn't really care. Chelsea spat venom, saying that in the end he just wants money. He disappeared for so many years, and now he came running for money. My father said that now is not the time for showdowns. They discuss business, and the chairman seems interested, which irritates Chelsea. The chairman told Charlie to keep talking even if there were no figures yet. "He chose the direction," Charlie answered. "Of course." He began to tell his plan. The kid was glad that he had completed his personal task of charming the chairman. The boys still need funds to move forward. And to keep them from losing interest, Charlie has to throw in some bait. Perhaps it's time to prepare to leave the agency. Charlie wouldn't mind opening his own agency. He was a former management pro. The first episode of the show came out and the guys gathered to watch it. The guys laughed while watching their show. Great. Old fans stayed, new ones came. The confrontation between the groups has started again, and they still put up this shot. They were cute, of course, but they were unlikely to see them again. Suddenly Sam approached Jean. The guys were shocked that Sam approached Jean and even spoke, and Sam asked sheepishly about them, if it was okay that they just left them like that. The baby, although he didn't like the kittens, was still worried, Jin replied. Probably Mom is nearby. And Jin seems to be just as awkward as the others after all. The two used to fight every day. Although Jean is friends with everyone, he decided to continue their conversation and said that it seemed like Sam liked the kittens. And he said that he hated everything small and moving. Sam jumped up and said, no, he doesn't like them at all. Then he walked into his room. What a confused kitten, the guys thought. Sam definitely loves cats. Luckily, the show Boys in Trouble unexpectedly received a warm response. They started receiving a lot of offers. It's hard, of course, but remembering the times when no one needed them, they are grateful for such eventful days. The most pleasant thing is that now each of them is recognized. People finally start to see who they really are when you read comments like this. Much was becoming clear, but still, Charlie continued to wonder how he would complete this quest. The problem is that he doesn't even know where to start. Suddenly the manager calls the guys. A new project has appeared. A show where several idol groups compete for a prize. Kenya's Floss group is also participating, although it's still a secret, the manager said. Ryu became worried and asked if two groups from the same company would fight each other. The manager became nervous and admitted that he knew about the situation with the fans, but it was the organizer's request. While Ryu was nervous, Charlie wondered if the system had known about everything in advance. Then Charlie told Ryu and the others to think more positively. This would still cause quite a stir. Besides, if they lose, they will have something to learn from the winners. Jin suddenly sighed. And he said he wasn't sure that would work out, because he wasn't going to lose. Meanwhile, the Floss group was not so optimistic, Shin asking why they should go there. The leader Lin calmed him down and said, the decision has already been made. There is no need to act like a child. There was a 10-year age difference between them. Lin asked the boys not to frown. They have a live broadcast coming up soon, and he said that the manager promised that there would be no more filming this week. Only the show is ambitious, so they can relax, Kenny said sullenly. At least that's good. Better than pointlessly wandering around empty events, if, of course, the promise is kept. Shin asked if they lose, everyone will start saying how come the top group lost. Hell asked why they were always compared to menopause. It was so humiliating. Steve asked, so what if they took first place for the first time in 5 years? Lin asked the guys to stop during the broadcast. They will ignore comments about menopause. No need to add fuel to the fire like that time, Kenny thought. Normally he would have ignored it. But their forfeits were the first to start wondering how their group even got to this point. 2 years ago, a mega-popular show came out. They went through a tough selection process and eventually formed a floss. The contestants were selected through a national vote, with broadcasts around the world. They gained an international fan base and set a record for first-week sales. All their concerts were sold out. In less than 6 months, they took part in 30 advertising campaigns. In less than 2 years, they became top idols. But now, they are a group that has nothing else to show. Their group was put together thanks to a competition show. Because of this, they have a lot of haters. They are angry because their favorites did not make it to the final. Although he tries not to pay attention, the comparisons to menopause do not stop. The other members didn't seem to be too worried about it, but Kenny was. He thought that after the debut everything would go as planned. But how did they go downhill like that? Shin continued to complain to Lin that fans were comparing his vocals to Sam's. Except for the younger Shin, who still sticks close to Lin. The connection between the other participants has long since disappeared. Perhaps this is one of the main problems of the guys. Kenny remembered Charlie and Sam talking during the break and thought, how can they behave like this? How is menopause so different? Did Charlie do something to change everything? Suddenly Lin told the guys to gather together because the live broadcast had started. Then Kenny jumped up and, putting on a smile, greeted the fans. Let's get back to our guys. The boys came to the hotel, which belonged to Charlie's father. And they were incredibly impressed with the luxury room. They were as happy as children. The man said that if they put this up, the views would be crazy. Charlie asked to edit it properly. Earlier, Mom said that the boys' show turned out great. She has an idea. After dinner with his family, he was offered to film a segment about their hotel's luxury suite for boys in need. As expected from the vice president, she not only came up with the idea, but also helped implement it. Besides, it was a good advertisement for the hotel. The kids continued to play. Jean threw a pillow at Charlie, and then Charlie got excited and started a counterattack. But the producer thought something was missing, so the cameraman suggested adding a twist. Here it is, that very personal, ultra-luxurious pool in the hotel, and here's the highlight of the show. In fact, this issue is a reward for the guys for all their efforts, and also an opportunity. Increase awareness of the menopause before the show with Floss. One night in this hotel costs a fortune. This is a place that not only fans are interested in, but also everyone around, if they finish filming quickly. They'll have time to publish the episode by the start of the new show. Charlie asked why Sam doesn't swim. Sam replied, just relaxing. His luxurious appearance made Charlie think. Why Sam looks even cooler today, how it works, Sam suggested to practice. Charlie said there was still time, but Sam said the base could be refreshed. This is their chance to show what they can do. Sam hates losing. And he didn't know how to rest, so Charlie said, today we rest, and tomorrow we work. Charlie decided to show the hotel himself. He was going to check out the hotel bakery. They say the desserts here are amazing. I'll try everything and review it. But if Charlie posts it on his channel, people would think it was an advertisement, so he decided to upload it as a vlog. Suddenly, Charlie noticed Kenny sitting in the hallway, and unexpectedly, a girl approached him. Charlie should have stopped taking them off if he thought Kenny was on a date. Finally, he decided that it didn't concern him and turned around. He wanted to leave as quickly as possible, in order not to get into any trouble, but before he could move away, his phone was taken away. It was Kenny. Apparently he noticed Charlie. Then Charlie asked what was going on. Kenny said Charlie just took a picture of him. Let him unlock the phone. Charlie said he didn't take a photo of it, but Kenny ordered him to unlock the phone again. Then Charlie said, it's actually impolite, but what if there's nothing there? And really, what will he do if he doesn't have any photos of Kenny on his phone? Charlie offered to bet that there was no photo on his phone, which Kenny didn't expect. A little later, Charlie and Kenny stood next to each other holding desserts from the hotel. Charlie introduced Kenny as a special guest, something Ryu clearly wasn't expecting. Kenny himself was not happy about this, but Charlie openly lied that they met by chance. And Kenny said he would love to come to their show, but there was little joy in Kenny. Ryu whispered why Kenny was here. How were they even going to pay his fee? Charlie replied, what kind of fee? They are not strangers. She makes fun of him as she wants. 30 minutes ago, in the hotel lobby, Kenny was quite surprised when he saw that his photo was missing. He couldn't believe it and kept rummaging through the photos, but there was only food and other participants. Kenny thought this was a great opportunity to get dirt on him. Then Kenny apologized for his harsh reaction and gave the phone back, although Charlie said that everything was fine. He reminded that Kenny lost a bet, so he would have to fulfill the wish. And that's how he ended up here. Charlie said that he should use the camera that the film crew left behind. Tomorrow, everything will be assembled. The guys got out the desserts, and Charlie decided to give the first piece to the guest. The boys wished him bon appetit, but Kenny still felt a little awkward. A little later, the guys relaxed. Jin repeated the dance movement he saw. Kenny also relaxed and even began to explain to Jin how to move correctly. Charlie was a little worried that things would be awkward for everyone since Kenny was with them. But thanks to the friendly and active guys, everything went smoothly. Nick impersonated Sheen. The guys started laughing, and Kenny could barely contain his laughter. Kenny looked very happy among the boys. They came out and Charlie thanked Kenny for coming. And Kenny replied that he had fun too, the woman Charlie saw in the lobby. She turned out to be the director of another entertainment company. They had known each other for a long time, even before his debut. Kenny's contract is ending soon. She probably wanted to lure him over to her. Kenny chose a private hotel for the meeting because he was being followed, but it didn't work. Poor guy, tired of all this, and he's only 24, Charlie thought. Kenny asked Charlie if he liked working in a team. Charlie replied, now, yes, to sing together, dance and dream. Kenny wanted to ask something, but he didn't do this, and in the meantime the manager came to the guys. The manager was telling them that they would be checking out the next morning, but suddenly he froze. He saw Kenny and asked what he was doing there. Kenny became worried because the company didn't know he was there. The guys lied that he came to them. Then the manager scolded them to show their friendship after the show. Jean and Nick wanted to lighten the mood by saying that it would help them become closer during the show. But the manager kept swearing that if something happened, they would be at a disadvantage. Then Charlie stopped him and said, enough. They understood everything. Kenny became noticeably sad. The manager picked up Kenny and said he would take him to the dorm. The door closed behind them. And Charlie realized that the show's producers were hoping that they would fall out with Floss. It's no wonder they invited groups from the same agency. Apparently they want to show a drama to get views. A few days later, the show hasn't even started yet, and the fans are already on edge. Of course they don't like it. Who likes it when their favorites are pitted against each other? Even idols have a hard time under such pressure. Less popular bands risk moral decline due to voting. And even if top artists fail, it will be a disaster. And this show is famous for its hellish editing. The guys came to the headman, Gene, and the headman laughed joyfully. Since the village manager runs a dairy farm, the boys decided to help out with the chores. And at the same time shoot content. Nick fed the babies with milk, but did not expect it. Even though they are babies, they have a lot of strength and are ready to do anything for milk. The boys laughed at him, especially Charlie. And then he himself felt the strength of the calf. Finally, the guys finished this work. They were very tired. Charlie heard Ryu offering his help and thought, Ryu really is kind. And Jin, although he seems strict, is also very sympathetic and can make friends with anyone. Also, don't forget about Nick's gentle nature. He always takes care of everyone. It's good to be kind, but his boys are so kind and so gentle. But how would they survive this terrible show? Charlie was worried about the boys, just like a father. A caring dad told his kids how they were going to survive in this cruel world of television. But the kids just laughed and had fun. Charlie couldn't help but laugh. And only then did he realize that one baby was missing. Charlie asked where Sam was. Ryu and Nick said that Sam took the rest of the milk and left, apparently to visit the kittens. Suddenly, Sam jumped out of the house and shouted, "Genie! Where is Genie?" Charlie asked what was wrong. Sam, with tears in his eyes, said that the kitten was not breathing. The kitten's body was cold, so Jin brought warm water to raise the temperature. Sam asked if Jean thought it would help. Jean replied that it was just first aid for now. We might have to take her to the clinic, but she's far from here. Charlie told the boys to hurry. He told Sam to follow him. The operator ran to Charlie and said that he would go too. Charlie asked if he was filming this too. The cameraman replied that anything could happen. And this indifference angered Charlie. The kitten's life was at stake, and they were all thinking about views. Even if it's just a homeless kitten, you need to preserve at least a drop of humanity. He forbade them to film until the situation stabilized. Then the producer asked to get the equipment from the back seat. Charlie told Sam to get in quickly. And they rushed to the hospital, the doctor said. It seems her mother abandoned her because she was weak from birth. Sam said that earlier he gave her milk, but she immediately vomited it. Charlie looked very gloomy as he looked at such a desperate Sam. On filming days, Sam is always the first one to get ready and get the rest of the guys going. Charlie thought it was because he was a perfectionist, but it turned out he was worried about the kittens who were left alone. Charlie seems to understand him now, a man whose words and actions do not match. In fact, Sam is kind, a real tsundere, the doctor told him sad news. The doctor's cold-bloodedness angered Sam, and he began to quarrel with him. Then Charlie decided to calm him down and asked the doctor to give the kitten an IV or something. After all, the kitten was still holding on. A little later, the guys were driving back with the kitten, and Sam started telling me that it started last week. She kept herself separate from the others all the time. He then asked Ryu to check if everything was okay with the kitten while they were gone, and he even asked the headman to look after her. But when he heard that she had stopped eating, he began to worry that she was sick if he had simply at least suggested going to the clinic then. Charlie told Sam not to blame himself. No one could have known that things would get so bad in just a week. But Sammy couldn't help but blame himself. He said it was his fault. He should have at least asked the headman to take her to the clinic. Then Charlie asked Sammy how many things in life happen the way Sam wants them to. How many of them end exactly as he expected? How many leave him without regrets? Sam is not a god. He is an ordinary 22-year-old guy. Naturally, he doesn't know what awaits him in the future. It is also natural that the results of his choice may be bad. It's just natural. Even adults over 50 think they could have done better. They also live with regrets, so don't blame yourself. Don't torture yourself. For what Sam couldn't control, Sam did nothing wrong. Sam listened very carefully to Charlie. Finally, they returned. And Charlie said to Sam, "Everyone must be worried. We need to get inside quickly." But Sam seemed to still be nervous, looking at the cameras and asking Charlie if he could skip filming today. Sam first called Charlie older. Sam heard the director talking about the situation with the cat being good for viewing. He would later shoot additional footage for his part, Charlie supporting the younger one. Charlie said that he himself did not like what was happening, and that he would sort it out with the director. Then he told the boys that the clinic had not helped them in any way, and he suggested that they take care of the kitten themselves. By the time Sam entered the room, the others had found out what had happened, and then Jin asked if Sam was okay. Charlie said that if Jin was worried, he could come to him himself and ask. But Jin seemed uncomfortable. Their relationship was not that close yet. He decided to change the subject, asking about the filming. Charlie suggested taking a break from it. Charlie went to Sam and told him that the director had decided to review the footage and reschedule the shoot. Then Sam felt ashamed and said that he didn't want to cause trouble for anyone. Just as Charlie began to say that he had not caused any trouble, the cat meowed, and all of Sam's attention turned to the cat. The kitten threw up again. Sam was scared, but it seemed like good news. The kitten spat out the rubber gasket. The baby meowed happily. Now it's clear why she didn't eat. Sam decided to check it out right away. He prepared some milk and handed it to the kitten. And the baby willingly ate her milk. What a joy that everything is fine with the kitten. Sam thought the same. He could finally exhale. It looked like he was crying. At first glance, Sam may seem cold, as Ryu said. But if you look closely, he is the most caring of the guys. He has been a trainee since childhood. He probably saw many friends leave, so he was afraid to get close to others. The contented cat was lying with the ottoman, and Charlie asked, so Sam secretly gave the cat a name. The director looked at the camera and complained that he couldn't see anything. The operator said that everything was audible and if Charlie allowed it, they could use it. But the director rudely replied that who would ask the children for permission? Specialists would take care of that. They'll put subtitles and that's it. What impudence! The director continued to complain about the youth. Although he himself violated the boys' personal boundaries, the door swung open and Charlie asked, what were they talking about now? Then the director quickly shut his mouth. Putting on a smile, he said, it was a camera in the minivan. It looked like it was still recording. Since that's the case, they use the footage. The candid moments are what the fans like, right? But Charlie was against it. Even when the cat's life was in danger, they only cared about the camera angle. They wanted to make Sam cry for the camera, that kind of behavior. Use any opportunity for views. Without the slightest hesitation, it's time to scold the boys, Charlie said, from a moral and professional point of view. This is enough to remove them. Haven't they already caused one huge scandal? When they edited the story about the homeless dog, they had to apologize. Charlie was very unhappy with their behavior. He asked if they thought he didn't know anything just because he was young. The atmosphere darkened even more. The guys also left, and the director thought about what to say. He said there was no need to be offended by his words. There was simply too little material from the farm. If you add some footage from the car on the way to the vet, you'll have perfect material. Again, he talks about the material. Of course, the producer's words were not entirely wrong. They always shoot what they want, but their job is not only to show what they like. Charlie reminded that content featuring them is published only with mutual consent. The director was offended by this and began to insult the guys again. Then Charlie responded, he understands what the director is talking about. There is no point in discussing it further. And I called my lawyer. After that day, they changed the film crew. We obtained the rights to the content that had already been filmed, which required effort and expense. But it was the right decision for everyone, so Charlie doesn't regret anything. After finishing practice, Jean asked what was for lunch, then noticed Sam, and asked what he was doing. Ryu told him to leave Sam. He was probably looking at pictures of kittens. Luckily, the kitten now lives with the village elder. Jean and Sam handed her over to the headman. Although the headman was complaining that he was already taking care of the cows, and they brought him a kitten. He took her anyway. It was the first time the headman had a cat, and he was worried. But the baby has become an irreplaceable source of cuteness for him, and he also has a grandson, Sam, who often visits him. Another plus, from that very day Sam started calling Charlie Big, which Charlie really liked. The guys started eating, and Jean asked if Charlie would be interviewing the leaders tomorrow. The boys wished him luck, Charlie happily replied. He'll blow everyone away. Tomorrow, Charlie was still a little nervous. He opened the door and timidly said hello. Then the guy immediately stood up and loudly greeted Charlie. Charlie said hello awkwardly and said that he also hoped for good cooperation. That guy is new in the industry, but he's so polite, and that guy's group is more popular overseas. Adam's leader Simon greeted Charlie. Their group started out as a street group, but then they completely changed their style and became idols. Everyone looks young. And Charlie thought, well, that means he's going to have to play on this playground. But then the door opened and an old man came in. Lin was older and much taller than Charlie. The boys immediately felt awkward. Everyone was tense because of the relationship between Floss and Climax. Everyone is expecting some kind of hostility. But everything will be completely different from what they think. Charlie grabbed Lin's hand and asked how he was doing. The group's leader Floss, a talented and popular participant who took third place in the show. He has already served in the army. He only became an idol at the age of 27. And during the show, he gained fans faster than anyone else due to his calm and confident personality. However, his path to success was not easy. He debuted at 27, but the group disbanded 2 years later. He later moved into the acting field, but did not achieve significant success. But thanks to the accumulated experience, he now successfully combines his career as an idol and an actor, receiving recognition from the public. Charlie admired the fact that Lin didn't give up and kept moving forward. Lin has a stable fan base. As Charlie had expected, Lin didn't make a scene but said hello nicely. Lin asked when Charlie arrived, could he have warned him in advance? Charlie replied that he had just arrived. The guys were shocked by their behavior and did not understand why they were so close. And all because Charlie thought it all out in advance. That day at the hotel, he called Kenny. And he said he was thinking about creating a common chat for them. It seems Lin himself wanted this. Lin was mature and understood that he wanted to stir up a scandal between them. And Lin didn't want to just sit and remain silent. Charlie said that he watched Lin's dramas. Lin said he watched their program. Sam feeding the calf is so cute. The guys started to chat with each other in a way that was too sweet. while the rest of us sat on the sidelines. And they had some strange reaction. Well, so be it. The main thing is that they talk about their friendship. Finally, filming began. Vicky was the first to come out and greet everyone. But the woman was not satisfied with the result. She asked to put a little more passion into the communication. Hamish came next and said it was an honor to perform with such wonderful senior colleagues. But he doesn't intend to lose. The smile that made him happy before now terrifies him. Then a cheeky guy came out and said that he came to win. At first glance, the competitors were weak. Then Simon, he said, "None of the idols can sing, only Sam." This is what the woman liked. They were at each other's throats, which was important for the show. And of course, Charlie didn't like it at all, especially the fact that they mentioned Sam. But the experienced Lynn whispered to Charlie that he shouldn't fall for provocations, even if it worked at first. The audience will still figure out who the real talent is. This is something new for Charlie. He usually consoles others as an elder, but now, for the first time, someone consoled him. The woman looked at them and asked if they had been together all this time. She didn't know they were friends, Charlie awkwardly replied. Of course, they were in the same company. Lynn said more confidently, "They are both leaders, discussing problems and all that." Charlie tried not to act awkwardly. He was the life of the party here, but it didn't work. So Lynn took matters into his own hands, he said. Anyway, the two of them are very close. At home, the guys gathered and started watching the teaser for the show Boys Be Ambitious. The host said that the leaders of the male idol groups gathered in one place for a reason. Charlie had good reason to be worried about the producers of this show. They really did make some brutal cuts. They did everything to gain views. The battle for the pride of the leading idol groups begins. Ryu asked if Charlie really said those things, and how it would affect his reputation. Sam called Charlie rude because Charlie allegedly spoke badly to Lynn. Charlie replied, "Don't call your Hyung a rude guy," Sam shouted. "Did Charlie say that or not?" Then Charlie said, "Of course not. It was all put together from pieces. He himself is angry." The guys exhaled and said that they almost doubted his character, but there was nothing to be happy about. The editing was much harsher than Charlie expected. If the teaser is like this, then the main release will be even worse. Maybe a backup plan was needed. During the night, Lynn called Charlie and asked if he had seen the teaser. Charlie answered just now. Lynn was worried about his condition, so he called. And wanting to discuss something, Charlie admitted he was a little shocked by the teaser. But Lynn reassured Charlie, saying that everyone would understand that this was editing, and that in this field you can't do without it. Lynn's voice was more tired than angry, but he still tried to support Charlie, advising Charlie to mentally prepare himself for the release to be worse. Apparently, Lynn was already used to this. Receiving comfort from an elder was not bad. When Charlie asked how Lynn was, he laughed. He didn't expect this. It was just that no one had cared about him for a long time. "So nice, is he okay?" "Well, more or less," Lynn added. "Shin grumbles non-stop, but he's always been a whiner. But Kenny, on the contrary, enjoys all of this. It's even funny." Charlie asked. "Wait, why is he happy?" Lynn said. "Kenny asked me to tell him." "Welcome to the world of survival shows." Suddenly Kenny screamed, "Turn off the phone." And he shouted, "Don't believe what Lynn says." And Lynn just laughed at Kenny's childishness. Lynn said it looks like Kenny is okay. Well, that was unexpected. And then Lynn suggested acting immediately on what they had discussed. So what Charlie will say. Charlie was delighted and said, of course he is for it. The boys arrived in the village again. Jin was happily pulling weeds. Sammy asked when the guests would arrive. Charlie replied that they would arrive in the evening. Their plan against the devilish editing is a joint stream. Sammy decided to quickly check on the kittens. Charlie wondered why Sammy was so happy, but it was time to make dinner. Jin and Ryu decided to bring snacks so that the guests and they themselves wouldn't get hungry. Charlie answered, decline, and asked where Nick was. Ryu answered, he was cleaning the kitchen. Then Charlie went to Nick and asked what he was doing. Nick replied that the kitchen was too dirty because of the ash. Charlie asked if he was doing it alone, so maybe they could clean the chimney at the same time. And then they'll clean up together, Nick said. Understood. Was already doing it. When suddenly they heard a noise. Nick asked if Charlie heard the strange sound. The noise grew louder and the boys got scared. The boys arrived even earlier than they thought. The boys were unhappy with the squalid place, as they said. But there was no one, which surprised Lynn. The guys looked around, and then he heard this terrible noise. The guys gathered together, and the noise increased. The door opened and two silhouettes looked out of the room. The boys screamed. It seems Shin won't sleep tonight, Shin screamed. It's ghosts. And our boys, covered in sweat, laughed awkwardly in the hall and said hello. When everything calmed down and the boys started eating, Charlie explained that it was all because of the squirrel. She came out of the fireplace with a terrible crash. Charlie said he didn't expect Lynn to be scared so easily. Lynn replied that he wasn't scared. They just think that way because of the editing. Liar. Lynn was really scared, maybe even more than the others. Charlie said that Lin didn't have to be embarrassed. They had someone like that on their team too. Kenny asked if Sam was afraid of scary things too. Sam lied. No, not at all. Charlie was afraid it would be awkward, but it made the atmosphere more lively. Thanks to the squirrel, Jin decided to make fun of Sammy by offering to tell him scary stories. Surprisingly, Shin was happy with the offer and even suggested turning off the lights. Lin was unsure. It seemed like the little adult was afraid and was trying to suggest something else. But his plan was quickly discovered. Jin laughed and asked if he was really scared. As the eldest, he couldn't seem weak, because even Shin was happy. Lin got angry and asked, He is a seasoned ghost hunter, so no. Ryu said, if someone gets scared, they can go to another room. But our cowards didn't want to appear like that, so they lied that everything was fine. At night, they turned off the lights and the children all gathered together in a circle. The atmosphere is too serious for ordinary children's horror stories. Kenny looked at the boys and asked what was wrong with them. The boys were all over Charlie. If they are afraid, let them go to another room. But the boys continued to insist that they were not afraid. Nick and Sam said they weren't afraid of anything. They just wanted to be closer to Charlie. Lin said, it seems like the leader inspires confidence. Shin stuck to him and said, they actually have a leader too, Charlie thought. But no one denied it. Charlie looked at Sheen and wondered what he was wearing. Bunny pajamas. Kenny suggested to Charlie that it would be better to keep quiet. Charlie replied, okay. Lin began the story in an old hotel, although there were no guests there. There was always a sign at the entrance that said workers were needed, but strangely, those were the ones who were hired there. They disappeared one after another. Lin's story turned out to be too long. By the end of Lin's story, the guys were already falling asleep, and Lin finished. And as a result, the last employee was found dead. And the hotel was closed forever, Ryu asked. Is that all? It seems Lin's story is not at all scary. But Shin decided to support his leader. He feigned fear. This woke up Nick too, and he said that he was scared too. The liar. Ryu laughed awkwardly and asked if they would move on to the next one. Shin offered himself. Just as Shin began his story, someone's cry was heard and the boys turned around. Suddenly the light went out. The boys shouted, "What's going on here? Nothing can be seen." They continued to scream. Then Charlie turned on the light and told the cowards to calm down. These were the cries of deer and that's all. But then he saw a baby who almost fainted from fear. Well, now the guys could no longer hide the fact that their leader was a coward, and our boys couldn't help but laugh when they saw how scared Lin was. Lin blushed and said, no, he just thought it was a man screaming. So Floss's nighttime ghost story ended with the conclusion, Lin is a coward. They were so noisy, but they fell asleep in no time. But they were children. What could you expect? Charlie thought. Suddenly Charlie smelled cigarettes and looked out. There stood an obedient boy. He quickly threw away his cigarette and awkwardly asked if Charlie was awake. Charlie replied, looking after the kids, Lin must be tired. Then Charlie thanked Lin for coming today, but Lin replied that he should be thanking him. For the first time in a long time he really rested, then asked if they were really that close. Charlie thought it was a strange question and asked if there were those who were just pretending. Lin asked if Charlie meant that they were pretending to be friends. Charlie got nervous and said no. That's not what he meant, Lin replied. Everything is fine. He's a little jealous that the guys are not doing it for business. Charlie asked why Lin didn't get along with his people. Lin replied that he usually didn't talk about it. There are words that are better kept to yourself, but once you blurt them out, it becomes easier, although you immediately regret it. And the interlocutor felt awkward. Lin admitted that it is not so easy to get close to everyone. Big age difference, Charlie said. Kenny said the same thing about them. Lin said it's not just Kenny. Others who follow the menopause think the same thing. When he first debuted, he and the guys were very close. He hoped that they would become friends. Now, to put it mildly, it's every man for himself, in truth. The only thing keeping them together is money. But he doesn't say that all the groups from the show are like that. There are probably a bunch where the guys are friends. They were just unlucky, especially with Kenny. They had a conflict back in the semi-finals. Since then, he had become distant. Charlie decided not to ask questions and let Lin speak out. Lin complained that Kenny always disappears without warning, doing everything to make people hate him. Then Lin realized that Charlie was awkward and apologized. Charlie said that Lin could speak freely, but it was hard for Charlie to hear all this from a man he hardly knew. However, it was impossible to ignore the desire to talk to someone. Charlie did not want to push it away. Charlie said next time, don't just blurt it out just because someone is listening. Lin stood up awkwardly and said that Charlie just seemed reliable, so he told him something he wouldn't even discuss with the guys. Charlie said, let him lie down. Tomorrow they will call you eldest again. They published a new issue of Boys in Trouble within a few hours. It has surpassed 300,000 views, with most of the comments being positive. Some viewers got the idea right on target, and Charlie was pleased. From the comments, it is clear that the goal was at least partially achieved, of course. Not everything was positive. There were some negative comments, but at least now I can focus on the competition. And so a week passed, and the first day of filming the survival show arrived. The guys were looking around the room. Charlie was looking at the evaluation criteria. According to the views, they were in the minus. Bands like Vesper, which have foreigners, will have the advantage of an international fandom. The screen turned on and the guys were shown a video. The girl said that she had heard little about Climax. Others also continued to say that they hardly knew them. Such was the mood of the boys. It was rapidly falling down. Well, it's clear what the show's producers are trying to do. They deliberately showed the kids videos of people who didn't know them. The purpose of this show was very clear. They were trying to humiliate the boys. Charlie must have been worried about his boys as producers tried to smash their pride to shreds, and to draw unexpected emotions from the participants. But Charlie was not going to play along with them. When asked what he thought of the video, Charlie cheerfully said it was a reminder to work harder. Thanks to the support of fans, they are just beginning to gain recognition. The host thanked for the answer and said that they would open the preliminary rating. The boys were scared when they heard this, but they got third place, which was pretty good. They were delighted, but this is a survival show, and the producers intend to drown the guys. Just as the boys were saying that they were happy with everything, the presenter decided to show a different rating. With the greatest chance, the team will take 5th place out of 6. The boys fell silent. Nick called Charlie and asked if Charlie had seen their team's support rating. They are in 3rd place, Ryu also said happily. They have more people supporting them than he thought. Well, the boys remained in good spirits. Charlie could calm down a little. The host asked Charlie who he thought would go out next, and he was thinking about it. As the team favorites are in 5th place, Charlie responded that he wants any group to appear sooner rather than later. The host announced that Floss's group was next, and Lin greeted them loudly. And the others greeted him in response, since there are 9 of them. Their shout sounds just like that of the military. Well, the guys have seen these 3 guys before. On the left is Hell, who has been the center of attention since the first episode. On the right is Steve, who was the center on the first stage, but ended up in 7th place. Charlie is starting to get used to their faces. Kenny was cut out early on in the show. It was as if he had a fight with the producer there, and that's probably what happened. But he was still able to make his debut. There is a good chance that the team will take 1st place, and the support rating will be announced a little later. Steve and Hell said let them show what was separating them while Lin remained silent. Jin was also curious and asked why they weren't shown right away. Charlie himself didn't know. Perhaps the producers wanted to create intrigue. After this, other groups began to appear on stage, and the results of the preliminary voting were announced. And interviews with fans, on the competition stage their performance, it seems, will be weak. But since they are a vocal group, the public sympathy for them is quite high. Ryu noticed that the interview only shows negative things, but the ratings are not bad. Apparently, only such answers were edited to create the desired image. Here comes the last group. It looks like these guys took the last place. The leader greeted the audience. They were going to show their efforts, Charlie thought. Although honestly, sometimes showing weakness is even better. The guys were shown their place. They took 6th place. Nick even felt offended for them. Jin asked, so what is the overall ranking? They haven't shown Floss's place yet. The host decided to announce the support ratings for Floss and Playground at the same time. So the reason why they delayed the Floss rating has been revealed. They took 6th place. Shin didn't expect them to finish last, but Lin didn't seem surprised. Then they showed people who supported the young guys. The boys themselves did not expect this. They thanked the audience and promised to try harder. Apart from our guys, most of the groups already have their positions set, so judging by the lineup, many support the newcomers. It turned out awkwardly, against these little ones. Despair is already being presented as a trump card. People have started to say that interest in flows has already disappeared. Since the idea of putting Climax and Floss against each other failed, the producers decided to set everyone against Floss. When the host asked what the newcomers thought, the leader trembled and thanked them for their support. Then the presenter apparently decided to make fun of him and asked what Lin thought. What do they want to hear in such an atmosphere? Charlie wondered if Lin was okay. But Lin was a professional. He said they would show why they were the favorites to win 1st place. They will prove it on stage, as expected. It is clear that Lin has been in show business for a long time. The presenter said that since all the groups had introduced themselves, he would announce the first task. We need to recreate the legend. We need to perform the artist's cult hits in our own way. Kenny's expression darkened noticeably. It seemed to have something to do with his father. Ryu asked why Kenny had such a gloomy face. Charlie decided that Kenny was just feeling unwell. Even though Charlie said so, it was clearly after the mission was announced that his expression changed. And Charlie knew this, so he thought maybe it was a trap and decided to ask the system. The system asked if Charlie wanted to use the memory replay feature. Charlie wanted to figure things out, so he decided to look into the past. He was transported to a wake. Little Kenny was sitting there. People were whispering. He probably left a lot of money behind. His father was a famous singer. But in reality, his mother borrowed money to survive. Did he really start a family on the side while he was still alive? One woman asked. Of course, little Kenny heard all these rumors. People kept whispering, and journalists crowded at the entrance and asked for interviews. Charlie clearly didn't expect such attention, and now he became interested too. Who was Kenny's father? Cedric debuted by winning a music festival in 1991. A legendary singer and songwriter who won hearts with his voice and became a real sensation among audiences of all ages. But suddenly, rumors of a conflict with the agency appeared in the news, and the next headline was tragic news. He died before reaching 30, causing national grief. A brilliant singer. Cedric was Kenny's father. Ryu called Charlie and he returned to the present. Ryu asked Charlie what the crow thought. It was time for them to go. Charlie stood up. The TV studio, it seems, thought everything through in advance, linking the task with Cedric. The scene where the legacy of a genius who died too early is continued by his son. For Floss, choosing Cedric's song is a huge plus. They will get both support and history at once. Charlie wanted to know more about the mission, but he learned something much more serious. The boys came into the lounge and were happy with the decorations, Ryu said, if they looked around. It was time to start the meeting, and Charlie kept thinking that if Floss chose Cedric, their concepts would intersect. He was so lost in thought that he didn't hear Ryu calling him. Finally, he noticed Ryu, and he apologized, saying that he was simply too preoccupied with their assignment. They need to focus on what they do best, Nick asked. What if we take our moment now? His sister's debut song, it is still considered legendary. Ryu asked if they could pull off a girl group hit. Jin said he was confident. The guys looked at him and were silent for a few minutes. And then they unanimously rejected the offer, which was a shame, because Jin wanted to perform with a bow. The boys started teasing him and laughing together. Nick's idea was not bad. Honestly, the idea was good, something unexpected, but in moderation. Charlie continued to think when he suddenly noticed glasses on the table, and these glasses reminded him of something when he first got into this body. He studied male concepts for 10 years in preparation for their comeback, he remembers. That these glasses were from the legendary first-generation idol scene that exploded 10 years ago. True, the summer beach concept is not in season now, but if you play with glasses and pick out some tracksuits, that might work, Charlie called the guys. The boys turned around at once. Charlie showed his glasses and asked how about a summer Christmas.